The YouTube stream is starting right now. You should be good in about 10 seconds.
Okay. One real quick item is, and I appreciate people have already done this, is turn off their camera and turn off their microphone if they're not part of the board. It just allows us, it makes it so much easier for us to see. Thank you all for joining us for the February 23rd, 2021 meeting of the Hendersonville Board of Mayor and Aldermen. I appreciate y'all joining me, and I'm going to ask Annette to call the roll.
Brown.
Here.
Campbell.
Here.
Collins.
Here.
Cunningham.
Here.
Dixon.
Here.
You're on.
I am.
Yep.
Edwards.
Here.
Hayes.
Here.
Peterson.
Here.
Petrelli.
Here.
Robertson.
Here.
Skidmore.
Here.
Waters.
Hey, here.
Clary.
Here.
All 13 present.
Annette, thank you very much for that. We're going to begin as we typically do. That's with a prayer and a pledge. So please join me in a prayer, and then we'll all stand. See a flag right behind me. But let's go ahead and stand now, and we'll begin with prayer. Let's bow our heads, please. Dear Lord, thank you for bringing us together, and thank you for this opportunity to serve you and to serve our fellow man. We appreciate very much the opportunities we have in front of us tonight, as well as the opportunities we have as we leave from here. Help us to somehow use your wisdom and use the skills and the gifts, talents, and abilities to serve you. Again, not just here, but as we go from here. We appreciate your the gifts of the people who protect us here and the people who protect us far away and the people who lead us. And of course, we also have special requests for some people who are suffering in our community. Steve Gregory and his family, the death of Joy, the Robertson family, the Keith Bruce family, and James McKinney and his family. We appreciate very much, Lord, what you have provided for us, and help us to go from here and do your work. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
I'm not sure if people on the recording could notice the difference, but we have a crowd here, and it's nice to hear the pledge from a crowd of folks in front of us. It's nice to get back to where we can have people in City Hall, and we look forward to doing that without any restriction, obviously. I need to entertain a motion to accept the agenda. So move. I have a motion from Alderman Waters and a second from Alderman Dixon.
Second.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to withdraw ordinance I.
Okay, appreciate.
The developer has pulled the plans. Thank you.
I appreciate that. Alderman Peterson is the sole sponsor of that, and he has asked to withdraw it, so certainly he has that opportunity to do so. I need to get my screen set a little bit here. I see a couple hands. Hold on one second. Let me pull up the chat section. Alderman Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. Item B that's on the agenda tonight, I went through general committee 2 weeks ago. The committee's recommendation was for a general committee and a finance committee combined meeting to happen once the permanent COO was hired to discuss the salary of the mayor. I would like to defer that back to committee until which time the COO is hired, and then we can discuss the salary of the mayor. So I'm just asking to defer to follow the committee's recommendation.
We have a
Finance
motion from
Committee
Alderman
Chair
Brown.
also agreed with that. Thank you.
We have a motion from Alderman Brown to remove item B from the agenda.
I'll second it.
We have a second from Alderman Hayes. I'll speak on that first. This has already gone through to two committees, and I'd certainly appreciate if we hadn't voted on it tonight. It is just first reading. So if the committees, if we hear it tonight, the committees still have the opportunity to meet if they would like to discuss it. So I'd hope that we would go ahead and consider it tonight and vote on it on first reading tonight. I don't see any reason that we should delay it anymore. Alderman Edwards on this.
Alderman Brown, can y'all have that joint meeting within the next 2 weeks?
Well, we could have a joint meeting within the next 2 weeks. That wasn't exactly what the recommendation of the committee was. The recommendation of the committee that the COO would be hired, and then a discussion would be on the mayor's salary and what to set that at. That way we knew exactly what we were paying the COO. We could discuss what we were going to pay the mayor, his salary, then we would know kind of where we were at financially. But this way we're kind of backing into it. We don't know exactly what we're going to pay the COO yet. But we know what the mayor would wish as the salary set. So we could certainly again have a meeting in another 2 weeks and discuss that without, we have item A on the agenda tonight, which I don't know that that would convolute any of that, but that is not a permanent COO. But I would be willing, if the finance chair is willing, to have a meeting within special call meeting within 2 weeks before we meet again at BOMA.
Alderman Edwards?
Well, I'm comfortable going ahead and voting on this tonight. It's an ordinance, so it's 2 readings. Whatever we did the first reading, I believe y'all could have a joint committee meeting within the next 2 weeks, and that may be able to discuss the matter. I'm just personally comfortable going forward on first reading, but hopefully y'all can have a committee meeting within the next 2 weeks to discuss it.
Alderman Edwards, thank you. Alderman Petrelli, do you want to discuss this one item?
No, Mayor, thank you, but I would like to remain in the queue.
I gotcha. Okay. Any other discussion on the motion to remove item B? Again, I'm the sponsor. I'd like to see it go forward. I don't see anybody's hands here. In front of me, I don't see anybody's hands. Alderman Waters.
No, thank you.
Okay. All those in favor of removing item B, please signify by saying aye. Those in favor of keeping item B there, please say no when Annette calls your name.
Brown,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Collins,
Aye. I'm
Cunningham.
sorry. No.
Okay. Got it. Cunningham,
Aye.
Dixon,
No.
Edwards,
No.
Hayes,
Aye.
Peterson,
No.
Petrelli,
Oh, no, sorry. I thought I was unmuted.
that's okay. Robertson,
No.
I'm sorry.
No.
Thank you. Skidmore,
No.
Waters,
No.
and Clary.
No.
4 ayes, 9 noes.
That fails. Alderman Edwards, did you have a motion for the agenda?
Yeah, I did. I don't know if anybody else was in the queue before me. Alderman Petrelli might be.
I was.
Okay,
Go ahead.
Okay, I'd like to make an agenda item change. I'd like to move item C to number 1, since it's a planning commission item. I don't want to have these people waiting on us. So C to the first, then move item G to second, then move item B, which is the mayor's salary, to third, then move item A to fourth, and then continue on from there with the agenda.
We've got a motion.
I'll second.
We have a second from Alderman Campbell. I'm sitting in front of a bunch of folks. I'm just going to flat out ask them if, and I guess this motion was made because we have people that are here and dispense of business that they're here to consider first. Is that what the mission is here?
Yes, I'd like to see, like, for future, having planning commission items put at the top of the agenda so that they don't have to sit throughout our whole meeting.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm just gonna ask for a raise of hands of who's here for items A and B. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 people here. Who's here is for item A and B, which is the resolution appointed chief of operations and ordinance authorizing an amendment to the mayor's salary. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 8 of the 12 are here for those for A and B. So any other discussion?
How many are there for the
We've got-
public hearing has been canceled, correct?
Right, that's correct.
Okay.
We've got 2 that are for the presentation.
Okay, well, I will withdraw my amendment and I would like to re-amend and move item B to first.
Hold on 1 second. Alderman Campbell, are you okay withdrawing?
Oh, that's fine. Yes, sir.
Thank
Alderman
you.
Petrelli, go ahead.
Okay, I'd like to move item B to first and item A to second.
We have a motion
I'll second.
and a second from Alderman Collins. Any discussion on that?
Repeat that motion, please.
So switching A, they're putting B in front of A.
D.
No, B.
B.
B as in
B.
boy will go first, and then A is in alpha.
Oh, what goes first? Okay.
Any discussion on that? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please say no. When Annette calls your name, Annette, go ahead and put me down as a no, please.
Okay. And I just want to clarify before I call that I know we're moving B to 1, A to the second item. Are we still moving C
That's it.
and D?
No, ma'am.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Thank you, Annette.
You're welcome. Brown,
Okay, we're moving B to A and A to B.
Yes.
Okay, yes, I'm good with that.
Campbell,
Yes.
Collins,
Yes.
Cunningham,
Yes.
Dixon,
Yes.
Edwards,
Yes.
Hayes,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Petrelli,
Yes.
Robertson. You're muted. Robertson,
Yes.
thank you. Skidmore,
Yes. That's be all right.
Waters.
Yes.
Okay, we have 12 ayes, 1 no.
Annette, how about I change my vote? We'll make it unanimous.
Okay,
Okay.
done.
Unanimously, we're going to change items A. We're going to exchange item A for B. Alderman Edwards.
Okay, I would like to make a motion to add the following items to the consent agenda. Let me make sure I got these right. Item D as in dog. Item F. Item J. Item K. And item L. And I would also request that the captions, waive reading of the captions.
Second.
We have a motion, a second to group items D, F, J, K, L as a consent agenda item that we'll consider all together when we get to item D.
Yeah,
Alderman
that would be fine.
Okay. And a second from Alderman Petrelli. Any discussion on that? All those in favor of creating this consent agenda, please can signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please say no when Annette calls your name.
Brown,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Collins,
Aye.
Cunningham,
Aye.
Dixon,
Aye.
Edwards,
Aye.
Hayes,
Aye.
Peterson,
Aye.
Petrelli,
Aye.
Robertson,
Aye.
Skidmore,
Aye.
Waters,
Aye.
and Clary.
Aye.
13 ayes.
It passes unanimously. Thank you, Annette. Alderman Edwards.
That's all. Thank you.
Appreciate that. We've got A couple changes to the agenda as proposed. One of those changes is moving item B to A and A to B. We've created a consent agenda. We have removed item I. Any other proposed changes? All those in favor of the agenda as amended, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please say no when Annette calls your name.
Okay, sorry, hang on just a second.
Who was our second? I'm sorry.
On the amendment,
So this would be on the motion to pass the agenda.
hang on, that's what, yeah.
I think it was it Alderman Peterson? Was it you? Alderman Dixon? I know Alderman Waters made the motion.
Okay, I have Dixon.
Maybe I did.
Okay, Alderman Waters made the motion to accept the agenda and Alderman Dixon seconded it.
Okay. Okay, Brown. Brown,
You,
you're muted.
Aye. No, I've got a sore throat. So
Oh,
I was
Campbell,
unmuted.
Aye.
Collins,
Aye.
Cunningham,
Aye.
Dixon,
Aye.
Edwards,
aye.
Hayes,
Aye.
Peterson,
Aye.
Petrelli,
Aye.
Robertson,
Aye.
you're muted.
Aye.
Thank you. Skidmore,
Aye.
Waters,
Yes.
Clary,
Yes,
13 ayes.
that passes unanimously. Thank you, Annette. Next, we have a presentation from the Henshaw Chamber of Commerce. Jason, are we good? Okay. Aaron, would you please tell us who you are and what you're here for?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Erin Morton on behalf of the Hendersonville Area Chamber of Commerce. And Kelly and I, Cresselius and I, we have some goodies for you. May we have permission to approach?
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Beautiful. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. And for those of you who aren't here, we will keep one of these for you at the desk at City Hall.
Not everybody. Thank you again for having us today. I'm here today to humbly ask for your support for our new Thrive 37075 initiative. The Thrive and the 37075 was created by the Hendersonville Chamber to help kickstart the post-pandemic recovery process. We launched this at the beginning of the year, and already it's gaining so much momentum. It's been on the news in Hendersonville Lifestyle magazine. It's about to come out in the Tennessean. So we have some really great things that are about to roll out on this, and we simply just want the city's support in this and to promote this and to go help our local businesses really thrive in the city of Hendersonville. So most of you are probably asking, what is Thrive 37075? Thrive is it is an initiative that we have started, and any local business in Hendersonville can reach out to our chamber and request their very own Thrive Starter Kit. And this is free. This is gifted from the chamber to this business. And we will give them their very own starter kit with the products that they want with the Thrive merchandise. We have been working with local vendors, and once they get this product in their store, they can immediately sell it the next day and start gaining profits from this Thrive merchandise. So, so far we've been, it's really designed to be for any business in Hendersonville, not necessarily a boutique, but it's in warehouse, or it's in industries, it's in boutiques, services, and fitness centers as well. So we just ask that any business gets creative and ask us for what merchandise that you would want to sell, and we're just here to help you thrive and grow and prosper your business in Hendersonville. So that's all I have, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Does anybody have any questions? Any members of the board have any questions of Aaron? Aaron, we appreciate it very much. I misspoke. We actually don't have any bags for the aldermen that aren't here. We're just going to keep them. People who are here.
All right. Thank you again. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
you.
So we have a public hearing on the agenda. However, that item has been withdrawn by the applicant. It's not something that has been withdrawn from the agenda tonight. That is an item that we received word a couple days ago from the applicant that they're going to withdraw that request and seek something else through the same channels and working with and having discussions with our planning department now. So we're going to skip the public hearing and we'll go to the minutes. I'm going to entertain a motion to approve our minutes as they were presented in your packet for the February 9th, 2021 meeting. Alderman Waters moves.
Second.
And a second from Alderman Peterson. Any discussion on that? All those in favor of approving the minutes from February 9th, 2021, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please say no when Annette calls your name.
Bear with me just a second. I apologize. Waters made the motion.
And Alderman Peterson seconded it.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, my papers were out of order. Brown,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Collins,
Aye.
Cunningham,
Aye.
Dixon,
Aye.
Edwards,
Aye.
Hayes,
Aye.
Peterson,
Aye.
Petrelli,
Aye.
Robertson,
Aye.
Skidmore,
Aye.
Waters.
Aye.
Clary.
Aye.
13 ayes.
Passes unanimously. Thank you, Annette. Next, we have citizen comments. I'm going to do my best to move among two lists we have here. But the first person we're going to call is Beth Wettengel. Let me remind everybody speaking who has signed up of the rules we have here. Speakers must identify themselves by name and address. Public comment should be limited to 5 minutes. And the time cannot be transferred to other speakers. All comments are to be directed to the presiding officer, not to the alderman, city staff, or other members of the public. Comments must address issues, not individuals or personalities. Personal attacks shall not be tolerated. Comments may support or oppose particular issues or measures, but the motives of those with different views shall not be questioned or attacked. Malicious comments will not be allowed. Speeches for or against particular candidates running for public office shall not be allowed. Beth Wettengel, Indian Lake Road.
Hi, Beth Wettengel, 594 Indian Lake Road, Ward 4. I'm here tonight to speak about an item on the agenda concerning the mayor's salary. I just feel like $43,000 a year is not an appropriate amount to pay someone that is the leader of our city. $43,000 was exactly half of what his salary was last year. And I do believe that the two candidates that ran for mayor had pulled and also filed their paperwork to run for the seat prior to the changing of the mayor's salary. Surprisingly, they both stayed in the race, two really good candidates. But I think moving forward, looking at the quality of candidates and the qualification of candidates, we're going to have a difficult time finding candidates that are willing to be the mayor and take that kind of hit. It's not too many people can afford that unless you're independently wealthy. And I do believe that the night that the vote went through with cutting the mayor's salary in half, I think it was abundantly clear that they expected the mayor to work full time. Full time is a 40-hour-a-week job. I suspect that in a regular non-pandemic year, that the mayor probably works more than 40 hours a week based on the nighttime activities and weekend events that he's required to attend. If he works 50 weeks out of the year, I'm assuming that he gets about 2 weeks of vacation. If you equate that or boil it down to what is his hourly rate, it's $21.50. $21.50. Do you know who makes more money than the mayor of Hendersonville? Pet sitters. You can work for Rover and get paid more money petting a dog while the owner's gone. Package handlers make more money than $21 an hour. DoorDash people can make more money than $21 an hour. And I'm not knocking those jobs at all, but those are not requiring the same skill set as the mayor of Hendersonville would. We need someone that is qualified, someone that's educated, articulate, problem solver, diplomatic. And I'm not sure who can afford to run or be mayor of Hendersonville and sacrifice whatever salary that they have. It's not like you can go and get a second job as mayor of Hendersonville either. So I guess it was most telling when I started doing this a little bit of research right before the meeting. Do you know that a parent of 2 children, 2 dependents, that makes $41,000 a year is eligible for WIC, the WIC program? And if you don't know what WIC is, it's the food supplement program that the government runs. That is a slight difference than what we are currently paying the mayor. That is horrific. That is not okay in any way, shape, or form. It's roughly about $20,000 over the poverty limit on a national level. We're not going to recruit people to run for mayor if this is how we're going to compensate them. I respectfully request that the mayor's compensation be fully restored. Thank you.
Beth, thank you.
Amen. Amen. Thank you.
Jen Yemen, Carrington Road. Tina, do you see Jen?
Yes, sir. She's coming in now.
Okay. Jen, go ahead. I'm restarting my clock. As soon as you start, I will start it.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity to speak this evening. I come to you this night to voice my opinion and concerns over a couple of issues, those being the mayor's ordinance to reinstate his salary or the salary of his position to what it was prior to this current fiscal year, and also the chief operating officer position. Now, I do agree that the compensation for the position of mayor should be increased, but not to the level specified in Mayor Clary's ordinance. And I specifically question Mayor Clary's assertions through a recent email he sent to select community members, and then in a story which ran in the Hendersonville Standard. In both of these examples, the mayor stated his salary was the second most popular issue of the voters, and that voters want to restore the mayor's salary. Now, I will say I early voted. I do not recall seeing the reinstatement of the mayor's salary on the ballot, nor have I been aware or seen a petition or a referendum regarding this issue. So I just think that it's cavalier to intimate that paying the mayor is a huge issue for voters. On the subject of the COO, I don't understand why the rush to put an unqualified interim into this position. Again, through the Hendersonville Standard, we, the citizens, learned of Mayor Clary's intentions of putting Commander Harbsmeyer into the interim position and raising the commander's pay only for him to be in that position for 6 weeks. I think it was stated that he was due to retire at the end of April. Now, I do not know the commander, and I'm sure he is very, very capable of performing his duties within the police department, but he lacks the education and the skills to manage a municipality that has over a $50 million a year budget. Now, Mayor Clary and aldermen and alderwomen, this seems like a really horrible idea, which will only create chaos within City Hall. It is my understanding that interim CA Lamar is willing to stay in position until a permanent COO can be vetted and hired. I don't think it's prudent to change the management of our city 2 times in a short time period, as Mayor Clary suggests. I ask that you please vote down Mayor Clary's ordinance as it stands. The city's budgetary constraints, as we know, due to COVID-19, dictates that we need to know what the compensation package for the COO will be before we can make any further changes. And until that is ironed out, the subject of the mayor's salary reinstatement should be tabled. Please, please, I ask you to be good, prudent stewards of citizens' tax dollars. And I thank you for your time.
Jen, thank you so much. Appreciate that. Next, we have Mike Grog of Luna Lane. Tina, do you see Mike?
Yep, Mike's coming on board as we speak.
Go ahead, Mike. I'm starting the timer.
All right. My name is Mike Grog. I live at 176 Luna Lane, and I come to you tonight to voice my opposition to the raise of the mayor's salary. And it's pretty simple why. The previous board decided and voted to create a mayor, citizen, mayor and city administrator type government to help administer the city. Part of that process was to reduce the mayor's salary down to a level that was commensurate to the mayors in several similar sized cities who also had a mayor, city administrator type government. Matter of fact, I think the salary that was left for our mayor was actually higher than some of those other cities as well. And so that's where we came to the election. At the election, both candidates who ran for mayor knew full well what the salary was going to be. And they both still chose to run for the position. And so now we stand, new board. I understand the city administrator position has been rescinded. That's fine. It's being replaced with the chief operating officer. There's going to be another highly paid administrator to help administrate to the city. In my mind, nothing really changed as far as the number of administrators we're going to have for the city. I don't know what the division of duties will be, but it's still, we replaced the city administrator with a chief operating officer. So with that in mind, and mainly my main point is that both candidates knew when they took the job what the salary was going to be. It's no different than any of us going out to get a job anywhere else, and they tell us your salary is going to be this, and you agree to it. So that's my position. And that is all I have to say. I appreciate your time.
Mike, thank you. Next, we have Otis Jones of Indian Lake Forest Drive. I'm sorry, Nathan Forest Drive.
Thank you, Mayor. My wife Cheryl and I have lived at 144 Nathan Forest Drive for 37 years. Mayor, thank you for this opportunity to talk. One of the things that I'd like to begin with, the city is growing. And I should have mentioned, Mayor, you're the CEO of the city. There's nothing that changed that. And the city is growing. The city's budget is growing. And the mayor's responsibilities are growing. The board should certainly restore the mayor's salary to the previous level. Now, let me discuss it just a minute. The mayor is an elected mayor serving as chief executive officer of the city, and that process has worked fine for over 30 years without a city manager or a city administrator. From 1969 to 1986, the city had 5 different city managers, one every 3.5 years on average. And changing city managers as the city's political majority changed. So it just went back and forth. In fact, one of the primary reasons for changing from a city manager charter was the city manager had become a political trophy. In addition, the citizens of the city experienced great turmoil with a city manager or city administrator form of leadership. At that time, now this was a long time ago, but it still is what the city did. The citizens, you see, I've been living here this long. At that time, the city of Hendersonville determined by a large majority that they did not want a city manager type of government. They wanted a mayor that was leader, a CEO of the city. He led the city in the direction that the city wanted to go. Now, again, in the last election, the citizens spoke again. They said, we don't want a city administrator. We want a manager, we want a mayor that's the CEO. We want to elect a mayor that directs the city in the direction that agrees with the citizens. So they elected by a large majority. You, Mayor, I voted for you. And I think we are now at this place where that we've spoken twice. We spoke very plainly at the last election that we want the mayor as CEO. Now I would like to discuss hiring somebody to assist the mayor. I've been a management consultant for many years. You can tell by looking at me, I've been around a while. And do you believe that there would have ever been a time when as a management consultant, I would go to the board and say to the board, you know, you need a little bit of additional help. So let's take part of your benefits board and hire somebody to help you. I would have been laughed out of the room. But that's what we're talking about here. The mayor is the CEO. And every time that you elect, that you hire an additional person, you don't take it out of the mayor's salary. Now that is a practice that no one practices that. In fact, when the board previously wanted somebody to assist them to manage the system, not one of the board members said, let's give up part of our benefits to give it to this person that we're going to use to help us. Now those two illustrations, some people even laughed at it, but you see how ridiculous it is. As every organization grows, additional people are required to provide the services of the organization. No organization has a policy of taking part of the CEO's salary to fund additional employees. It even sounds ridiculous to consider such a move. Now we're talking about this person the mayor's hiring to help him do his job. Could you look at all the departments heads? So, well, let's give part of the mayor's salary to this department head, to this department head. We don't do that. That is not a business practice.
Mr. Jones, 30 seconds.
The citizens of Hendersonville have spoken strong 2 times. Many years ago at our last election, we want you, Mayor, as the CEO, and we wish to continue to elect a mayor to be our CEO, and they should restore your salary. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. I lost my list here. Brenda Grant, Vintage Circle.
Good evening. My name is Brenda Grant, and I reside at 153 Vintage Circle, Ward 4.
Brenda, can you hold on 1 second? I'm going to stop the time too. Right now, I need to sort of get our officers' attention. Right now, the doors to City Hall are locked. We need to make sure that they're unlocked. The front door. Yeah, need to make sure it's unlocked. Thank you, guys. Sorry about that, Brenda. Go ahead.
That's fine.
I'll start you over.
Okay, that's fine. I've been a resident of Hendersonville for almost 20 years now, and this is the first time that I've spoken, actually even attended a BOMA meeting. So obviously this is extremely important to me. In November of 2020, I took my 6-year-old daughter to Hendersonville High School, and we went to the voting booth, and we showed how we as citizens exercise our voices, how we change things that we cannot accept. how we support those who are in line with our values and our beliefs. Mayor Clary was elected to a second term because under his great leadership and dedication to this amazing city that I have been proud to call home for the last 20 years now, he has navigated us out of a pit of previous administration that has left us in a wake of destruction and righted the ship and set this city in a course that has been absolutely amazing the last few years. And we've begun to head into a brighter direction, and it's because of his dedication, his heart, and his proven leadership. When he was originally elected, his salary was well over twice what he's making now, and the previous board almost surreptitiously slashed that to a disgraceful $42,000 a year. Again, a decision by the board, not this board, but the previous board, not by the voters. This is a mayor who refuses a city vehicle for local transportation. He doesn't submit his miles when he uses his own personal vehicle to do city work. And out of the mayor's budget that the board approves, he returned more than 20% of that budget back into the city. And look at what he's brought into the city during his time in his first tenure. He initiated the hotel lodging tax, which has brought in over $350,000 in city revenue since it was initiated 3 years ago. Now, I was never a fan of a city administrator, much like the gentleman who spoke before me. I choose my person to be the CEO of my town, and that's the person I want to lead my town. That's the person that I want to make my decisions. And thankfully, the will of those who exercised their voices were finally heard because they were finally loud enough to be listened to, and that idea was abandoned. Quite frankly, I don't see the need for the position of a COO, but if Mayor Clary believes that he needs that person to assist him in the administration of his duties, then that is something that the board can make the decision to do. But I don't know anyone who would want to be a COO here and make less than what Mayor Clary is making, because who would want to hire an underling to make more than they make? That's just a ridiculous business decision. It's unfortunate. His dedication shows a love for this city that is beyond measure, really, because he has known what he was making when he was running. He knew what the previous board was doing whenever his previous salary was slashed, and he still chose to run. Yes, he did, with the hope that this board could make a change. This board could unify the city. Mayor Clary was doing quite well on his own when he was actually allowed to do the job for which the citizens of Hendersonville elected him to do it. It only seemed that when a certain few interjected their own individual agendas that put profit over people, that's when we saw a breakdown of the support of the mayor and the erosion of the cohesiveness of this board. What your citizens need is a board that supports them, a board that works for the city. Your citizens want you all to work together as a team for the good of the community, to show some integrity, and it starts with restoring Mayor Clary's salary to his original pay retroactively, I might add.
Britta, 30 seconds.
I submit to you, members of the board, that the voters will be heard, and this board should do what is honorable and what is right and act quickly and with integrity to undo what the previous board did and left you to clean up. But you have an amazing opportunity to restore the community's faith in this board, to instill confidence in your ability to lead our city and unite our local government to come out of a formerly contentious era into one of collaboration and progress with a common purpose. But it starts with this first step.
Brenda, thank you. Debbie Wall, Cherokee Road. Tina, do you have Debbie online?
No, sir, there is no one else in the waiting room.
Debbie, are you here? I don't believe so. We've completed citizen comments in that case. Next, we have on the agenda, item B. This is first reading of ordinance 2021-6. This is an ordinance to authorize an amendment to the budget ordinance 2020-20 as amended and appropriating $38,824.35 from the general fund. I so move. And a second from Alderman Waters. I need to announce that I have a conflict of interest here. However, I will be voting my conscience. Alderman Robertson.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the board. I have some brief comments that I would like to read for the record. In our deliberation of this issue, I hope that we can put all personalities aside and vote on the merits or demerits of the policy. I believe how we vote on this policy will have repercussions for the future of Hendersonville and our form of government. It is an important action because it will help dictate the type of individuals we have run for mayor in the future. This vote tonight should not be a pro or anti-Mayor Clary referendum by this board. That referendum was done by the voters in November. It should be, and I'm confident it will be, what's best for this city. And I frame my decision on the following policy considerations. First of all, the mayor's added responsibilities. And this is as a result of the COO ordinance that we passed unanimously a few weeks ago. The mayor, as you know, is the only municipal elected officer that runs at large where every citizen has the opportunity to voice their opinion of city operations. This direct line of accountability to all citizens of our city is designed to assure accountability and to prevent territorialism. Under the CA regime, the mayor is delegated to purely a ceremonial role with a reduced salary. Most duties and responsibilities were transferred to an appointed city administrator that is accountable to 13 members of the board. To the board's credit, after the election, it changed course and decided to restore the mayor's authority to lead the city with the help of a professional. Under the COO regime, the mayor will not merely be a figurehead of cutting ribbons and kissing babies, but will have real authority as originally envisioned by the charter. The duties and responsibilities he will now have are fully outlined in the charter. So really, I see no need for this board to add additional ones or to ask for a job description. Can you imagine our state legislature demanding that our elected governor outline in a job description to justify his pay? The mayor is a constitutional officer of the state. Neither would the state legislature, I believe, fathom reducing the governor's salary because he is allowed to hire a deputy governor to help him manage state government. When we decide to hire assistant directors for our department heads, we have never asked the department head to cut his or her salary. That's just not the way it's done. Now, while the governor doesn't run the day-to-day operations of the state, he is accountable to the voters for its function and is paid accordingly. Neither would the General Assembly, I think, ever try to macromanage the governor's activities. This analogy, I believe, holds true for our mayor. The mayor is accountable to the citizens for the executive functions of the city through the direct supervision of the COO and oversight of this board. He is the one who will hire, supervise, and dismiss the COO if necessary. When the next mayor's election takes place, he will have to run on his record. That spells to me accountability. We are all giving him the tools for the job with the ordinance that we passed. So let's make his salary commensurate with the responsibilities. The mayor will also have the responsibility after working with the COO and department heads to submit a proposed budget to BOMA, to us. He will propose and we will dispose. With this more responsibility and accountability, restoring the mayor's salary seems logical and equitable and a practical solution. I will state that the current mayor, unlike previous mayors, does not take advantage of a city-owned vehicle, and neither will the COO have a personally assigned city vehicle. The next point is the domino effect on future mayors. It is my belief that permanently reducing the mayor's salary will have a negative effect on the caliber of candidates running for mayor in the future in our city. The adage is what you get, what you pay for is true. At a reduced salary with no benefits, the city will only likely attract retired or independently wealthy individuals to run for mayor. I want a full-time mayor paid a decent salary to lead our city. I don't want to pay the mayor a penny more than we have to, nor a penny less than we need to. I would be promoting this policy correction regardless whom was elected as our mayor. I think the COO enactment justifies the restoring of the mayor. So I urge you tonight to vote for fairness, common sense, and support restoring the mayor's salary. I have checked with Mr. Manning, the city's finance department, and I asked him for a budget. I believe, in my analysis, I believe that the budget in the executive department can support this additional salary increase for the mayor. So for all of these reasons, I urge my colleagues to continue the spirit of working together and vote to restore the mayor's salary. Thank you.
Alderman Robertson, thank you. Alderman Edwards.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I just wanted to get some clarification. It's not really clear on your proposed ordinance. So, so you were getting, was the mayor receiving $100,000 before the last election? What's the exact amount? What was the exact amount?
Ooh, it was around there. I'd have to do some addition real quick. I know the 38,824 gets it to where it was prior to the election.
Okay, so what do you, so the 38,000 you're talking about per year, or
the 38,000 addition to what the mayor has been paid this fiscal year would get it to back where it was. It's a little bit confusing because we had a fiscal year that started in July, but the change in the salary happened in November.
Right. So the 38,000 you're saying would be, was it reduced down right after the election, or right after the election, not when you were sworn in, right?
Right when I was sworn in.
Okay, so because there were like a couple weeks difference there. So that you're saying the 38,000 is from then until June 30th?
Yes.
That would make up the difference?
Make up the difference, yes.
Okay, so you were getting around $100,000 before, and I think it was reduced down to, what was the exact amount? 43?
Currently now, I think it's 42.7.
Okay. And okay, so you're proposing to make that you're proposing to make the $100,000 retroactive to when you were, when it was reduced down when you were sworn in, right?
It would have the effect of making the salary for the current fiscal year the same as the previous fiscal year.
Okay. Well, what's your position about restoring it or a similar amount? Because as you know, a lot of your duties are taken away and given to a chief of operations that we haven't hired yet, and that I know I think someone should be compensated for having supervisory authority, because you will have supervisory authority over this chief of operations, and you are ultimately responsible for this chief of operations actions. And so I think somebody really should be compensated for that. What do you think about having this in effect as of when, if we hire this interim chief of operations or when we hire a permanent chief of operations?
I guess I'd have to go back to what I said at one of the committee meetings, that the way that this initiative was initiated was people of the city of Hendersonville that said the mayor's salary should be restored. And so that's what this is. It's a restoration of the salary, putting the salary in the current fiscal year the same as what it was in the previous fiscal year.
Well, I guess I'm asking, would you be willing and open to because I don't think I'm comfortable going all the way back, but I would be comfortable with increasing your salary, probably effective as of if Mr. Harbsmeyer is hired, effective as of when he is hired. So that's my position. That I think that's a fair compromise, because really the interim city administrator has been doing all the duties until now. So I think that's only appropriate. And in all fairness, and I'm not trying to incite any kind of argument here. I mean, both mayoral candidates ran knowing that the salary was probably going to be $43,000. So in essence, in an effort to be fair, I don't think I would vote for anything unless it's effective as of at least when the interim chief of operations is hired, if we hire one. I just want to know your position on that. Would you be willing to do that?
So what you're asking me, when you say increase in salary, you don't actually mean increase in salary. You mean restoring it to say the monthly amount, not actually increasing it, right?
I mean, I don't know, semantics, call it what you will, just increasing the mayor's salary. I didn't say completely restore it. Maybe we can talk about a number, but just increasing it effective as of maybe tomorrow, maybe if Mr. Harbsmeyer is hired, effective as of tomorrow. I just want to know your position on that.
I'm still trying to understand, Alderman Edwards. When you say increase, are you talking about going above 100,000?
No, I'm talking about increasing it from what it is now, the 43,000.
Gotcha.
Yeah, okay. Increasing from what it currently is.
I'm open to that. I mean, I disagree with a lot of things you just said. I don't feel that somebody should make less, as we heard from Alderman Robertson and from a couple speakers. I don't think that a city employee should be paid less because their city department is striving to do a better job and handle services more efficiently and handle more services. I think that's a bad precedent to set because if we start to do that, I can't imagine a supervisor or department head or manager who's ever going to request additional employees. If the additional employee's salary is going to come out of that supervisor, manager, or department head salary, nobody's ever going to ask for that. I can't think of a time in the city's history, please anybody speak up if I'm wrong, I can't think of a time in the city's history when one person's salary has been reduced because we hired somebody else. I can't think that happened at all. So I don't think that the two should be tied together as far as the COO and the mayor's salary. The other item is that I think that probably the unanimous sentiment when the city administrator position was created was that everybody felt the executive department needed more help. And it wasn't that they felt like the city administrator would allow the mayor to do less. We just didn't hear that. What it was we heard over and over again from people who advocated for the city administrator that the executive department needed more help. The COO is going to allow us to get more done. The CA has allowed us to get more done. I haven't cut back on my time. I still am responsible for signing about $1 million in checks every week. I still am responsible for reviewing contracts. I am still working 45 to 50 hours a week. So even though some of my responsibilities have changed, the resources that I provide to the city haven't. Therefore, I think we can make the argument that the pay should have never been reduced in the first place. In fact, the arguments that were made before that were poor. Alderman Edwards, I'll come back to you and then I want to speak too, but did I answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. Yeah, I guess so. And what do you think also, I'm not asking you to bid against yourself here, and this is a difficult conversation, but you're the one that brought this resolution before us, so we have to have this uncomfortable conversation. But I don't disagree. I don't disagree with you that your pay as it sits now should be increased. I think it should be increased for a lot of reasons stated by Alderman Robertson, and I'm not going to repeat everything, and a lot of things said by the citizens in citizens comments, which I think were very good, that a lower salary such as 43,000 really kind of limits who can run, and it kind of limits people who are independently wealthy or retired who don't otherwise have employment. So I do agree with you that the mayor's salary should increase. But what would you think about instead of going to the full 100, going to 80,000, since a lot of your duties have been taken away, or not taken away, will be transferred to someone else?
I get that. I'm still going to disagree that a lot of my duties have been taken away because I still will be supervising that person. And we never anticipated that I would work less or contribute less. It's just that the city was expected to do more. And I think that was the sentiment that was out there when we created the city administrator situation, was that we expected the city to accomplish more, not do the same with more people.
Okay, so I mean, I think probably around 80,000 might be fair moving forward. I would even say that would go into effect as soon as if Mr. Harbsmeyer is hired tomorrow. If I vote for that, I mean, if I support that, I would hope you would vote for that, because otherwise this entire resolution may fail.
Alderman Edwards, I'm gonna let you finish, and I've got a couple of things I want to speak, but I'll address that if you've got nothing else to say right now.
No, go ahead, please.
I appreciate that. I want to read, I think, and I will address that in just a second. I think we all got several emails from folks the past several days, several very well written, well thought out emails that we received about this issue, and I want to read portions of two of them. Dear Mayor and Board Aldermen, this letter arrives in your inbox on a late Tuesday afternoon before a board meeting, but I hope most of you have time to read it. Mayor Clary, perhaps given the lateness of this letter, you or the Alderman will consider reading it during citizens' comments. And I'm going to do that now because of how well it's put together, and this is from Jill Rather in Ward 4. Getting rid of the city administrator and restoring authority to the mayor's office meant more to the citizens than some of you realize. We want our mayor to be successful because that translates to a successful city. Empowering our mayor with the tools for success, such as a chief of operations that report to him, the mayor, is just the first step. I applaud those efforts. However, we the people want the entire ship righted. We need to make sure that our mayoral salary is lucrative enough to attract and maintain sound, qualified people, the same as we would do for any leadership position in our great city. I, along with many others, ask that you restore the mayor's salary to the same amount it was prior to the hiring of an interim city administrator. We, the people to whom all of you have to answer and whom you represent, would like all the benefits and salary restored to the mayor's office. Some of you might know Jill Rather, and I'm happy to say that Jill supported me. Now I'm going to read a letter, an email from somebody who didn't. This is somebody who very energetically supported my opponent. This is Judge Jane Wheatcraft. The citizens of Hendersonville spoke decisively at the November election in favor of Mayor Clary leading our city rather than a city administrator. BOMA has now taken the positive step of creating the position of an appointed COO to facilitate the running of the day-to-day operations of the city. Since the mayor's position has been clarified and he will once again have the singular responsibility for the operation of the city, it is important that his salary be restored to its original amount immediately. This is clearly the will of the electorate and will be regarded by the citizens as the fair and responsible way to move the city forward. Thank you for your service. That's Jane Wheatcraft, former judge for Sumner County. However, Alderman Edwards, I appreciate what you said. What I'm willing to do in the sake of compromise, and I hope people understand this, we went an awful long way in unifying the city and unifying this board by some compromises that were offered. Some of them that were beyond what were really acceptable to me. So what I will compromise with, since this is just the first reading, what I will compromise with is that figure that you see of the, hold on here, of the, if you look on, let's see, page 14, if you see that figure of $32,622.76, let's decrease that by 15,000. So that would be $17,622.76. I'm not sure what that does to the other items. It's going to reduce the other items by a couple thousand as well. So probably Alderman Edwards, it probably gets down to the reduction that you mentioned there. So by reducing the mayor's salary by 15,000, again, I'm doing this for first reading. I'll answer some questions and we'll deal with second reading later. But I'll make that motion now that we reduce that amount from $32,622.76 to $17,622.76.
So what does that make? So
That will put it down to a salary of 85,000, approximately 85,000, but reduce the other items, how much I don't know, so that it would get to the savings that you mentioned. But we can't talk about it right there now. I need a second for that.
Let me read, let me go.
Okay, so let me explain that. So if you look on page 14 in section 1, the salaries full-time regular would be, where it says $32,622. That will be reduced to $17,622.76. Do I have a second for that? Alderman Dixon gives me a second. Again, for first reading, I'm happy to do that because I think we need to compromise and I think we need to move forward. So Alderman Edwards, any other questions on that?
No, I don't have any further questions. I may support this on first reading, but we may have to alter it, or I may propose an alteration on second reading.
Well, I'm probably the same way, so I appreciate that, and I think we're on our way to a compromise there. I did not mention that I forgot one part of the letter from Judge Wheatcraft, also a Ward 4 resident. So let's see, Alderman Brown.
Come on.
Alderman Brown, go ahead.
Trying to get unmuted, Mayor. Thank you. Yeah, Ward 4 is pretty active ward. They pay attention. They talk a lot. So, and good people, I may add. So, speaking to Resolution 2021-05, first of all, it can't be, to tell Mr. Edwards, it can't be implemented tomorrow because it's an ordinance. So it has to go through 2 readings. I think he knew that, but he was saying tomorrow. I've made some notes here. First of all, no mayor, there's been a lot of people talking about a mayor's vehicle. No mayor has ever had a city vehicle. I don't know about all the way back that a mayor's had a city vehicle. So
Alderman Foster, or Mayor Foster did.
Mayor Foster did not. He drove his own truck, and Hank drove his truck. So anyway, no mayor's had a city vehicle, and I hope if you're using your car, you're getting reimbursement for it, for your mileage. So anyway, to your salary, or to the mayor's salary. I've received numerous emails too, and had conversations with some folks, and I want to clarify something, that your salary was not cut. We did not cut the mayor's salary. In 19, when the CA was approved, it was also approved at that time that in the election on November the 4th of 2020, that the mayor's salary would be, that position would be reduced to $43,000. Some folks out there have been under the assumption that your salary was slashed by this board. It wasn't. Your salary could not be slashed by this board legally. It had to pay through the election, which it did. So I want to clarify that. And yes, your opponent and you both knew exactly that when you ran for reelection, when she ran against you, you were running for $43,000. So, I mean, that is what it is. You can't deny that. You wasn't running for $43,000 with 40 or 50 hid somewhere. You knew you were running for $43,000 and you won. So, one reason that was set at $43,000, or the biggest reason in 2019, was the moving of the workload from the mayor's desk to the CA's desk. The moving of the workload is still there. We worked diligently to pass a COO ordinance. We put several hours into that, and come away agreeing 13-0 that that's what we wanted to do. You offered some amendments to that. We agreed to that. And that COO, if you go look at the job description of the COO, it's almost identical to the job description of the CA. Hasn't been changed at all. The only thing that's really changed is that you will be supervised. Now, the general committee had asked you, and I think it's a fair thing to do, Mayor, that just tell the world kind of what you're going to do now. What you've been doing, what you're going to do. You and I discussed this a little bit. You say you're working a lot more now. I'm good with that. You're representing the city. I want you out front. There's no, that's what the voters said. People ran against you. You represent everybody now. So I think we all want you to be successful, but I still think it would be good that we have some type of job description, since many of the chartered items have been put under the COO. I jotted down here, you said you're signing lots of checks every week. It was about 3 or 4 months ago, you wasn't sure who was signing the checks for Waste Pro. So that is a responsibility that's still there. Calling meetings is a responsibility that's still there. Appointing committee members is a responsibility that's still there. Attending meetings and representing the city is a responsibility that's still there. But those day-to-day functions are not. So I'm not totally against increasing the position salary. I would just kind of like to know what you're getting for that money. I mean, we know what we're going to get from the CA. We knew what we were going to get from the CA, or vice versa. We knew what we had with the CA. Now we're going to know we're going to get with the COO, and you're going to supervise that position. So I would agree. There should be some sort of raise there. But I certainly don't want to pay 2 people full-time salary to do the same job. And that's basically what we're talking about. So the 2 or 3 things I want to go back and reiterate that when nobody cut your salary, nobody slashed your salary. You knew that you were running for a $43,000 job when you run for re-election, and you won that job. I'll just leave it there instead of reiterating it again. But I certainly don't feel like we should go back retroactively when we do approve an increase from, this ordinance coming before us now. It didn't come before us in November, or December, or January. It's coming in February. So I don't think we need to do that. I still like the general committee's recommendation that we have a job description, and that once the COO is hired and put on board, that those 2 committees come together and bring a firm and solid offer back to the board that we can discuss. I feel like we're getting the cart in front of the horse. We've done that before. We'll probably do it again. We may do it in this case. But whatever we decide, I'll certainly honor and go along with it. I may vote for it, and I may vote against it. I don't know. But I just want people to understand that, this was all done in 2019. 2020 was almost a blank to a lot of people. The election was won by you, but we never cut your salary. It just automatically fell to that rate. And I think that's just fair that people know that and quit saying that we cut your salary. We changed the positions. We changed the dollar amount for the positions. Thank you.
Alderman Brown, thank you. Alderman Waters.
Thank you, Mayor. First, let me say welcome to this fine group. I personally appreciate every one of you coming out tonight. I want you to hear everything that's said. I mean everything. I've been doing some research here in the last few days, and I want to share it with you people. I keep hearing on this board from some of them on this board, we cannot pay the mayor back his salary and a COO a fair salary. Do you hear me? Some are saying we cannot pay the mayor back his salary and a COO a fair salary. Now, you've heard my colleagues talk already about this and that. I don't care if when his salary was cut, that doesn't make a hill of bean to me. I know what he's making now. So they keep bringing up, we didn't cut it. We didn't do this. Well, that's beside the point. I need a cough drop. So I want to remind my colleagues on this board, thank you. Excuse me. Let me remind some of my colleagues on this board. I remember back, they were some of them on the board was not concerned at all. They wasn't even they didn't even give a second thought about paying a CA candidate from Mississippi $143,000 plus benefits and moving expenses, while the mayor was making $43,000. Do you hear me? This was back. I'm reminding them what they did back when this all came up. They was not concerned at all with paying a CA for Mississippi $143,000 plus benefits and moving expenses, and then the mayor making $43,000 himself. That is pathetic. So you see what's happened now. So that the figure I just gave you comes out to $190,000 that they had no issue spending at that time for another leadership for our city. They had no problems. Let's get it. Let's get it. You know, we wound up, she got it. She got smart. If we use the same figures that I just gave you, we can restore the mayor's salary back to $103,000 and have $85,000 left for a CO to work for the mayor. Now this 85,000 that I keep hearing, you know, who brought that up? My colleague in the general committee. He's the one that brought up $85,000. I didn't. So if we do that, I believe someone with great credentials could come in and help our mayor. So let me ask you, what has changed from back then to now? I think I know. I think you know. My question to you people here tonight and who may be watching later, does this board not realize how our community, our citizens, our voters, how they feel about all this? Am I the only alderman on this board that's receiving emails chewing me out? I'm trying to help them, but they're concerned about the direction this board is going and has been going when it comes to the mayor and his assistant, a COO. So I'm gonna slow down. I've got some more, but I'm gonna wait. I get so tired of hearing some of these people talk about this and that. Let's face the facts. We voted for Mayor Clary. We didn't vote for CA. I know I didn't vote to pay him $75 an hour. No way. And I believe we can get a COO much less than that until the mayor has all the applications that HR has sent out and has a chance for this board to look at them. Let us vote on the 01 and let's get this thing straight. Do you hear me? I love this job. And I'm on my last term. And I want to get this thing turned around tonight on first reading. And let's move forward. I so move, Mayor. Thank you.
Alderman Waters, thank you. I'll keep you in the queue. You mentioned you have something later on. Alderman Petrelli.
Thank you, Mayor. I do watch the hands on the side. I think Alderman Collins was before me. I'm happy to defer and go after her, or I'm happy to go now, whatever works. And my hand is finally working. Thank you to the IT department.
Alderman Collins, do you want to go ahead, or Alderman Petrelli? Alderman Cunningham's also in there.
I don't mind, I can go. I just wanted to clarify some things with the math because I was pretty confused initially and thought that the math was wrong. So what we're doing is we're not paying you retroactively exactly, but we're just going to make each paycheck even more than it would be. Would you have a $103,000 salary? And then that would go back to or an $85,000 salary, and then it would go back to being.
There would be no.
It would go down at the end of the fiscal year. It would go down again.
It would be every paycheck the mayor would receive from the time this is enacted to the end of the fiscal year would be higher than it currently is. There would be no. Am I muted?
Would it be higher than it would be
Mayor.
for an $85,000 salary employee?
Can y'all tell them to hold on a second?
Can't hear the mayor.
Hold on.
He has two mics on.
Okay.
Well, one's on, one's off.
Okay. Rachel, Alderman Collins, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I think we got it. There would be no big check for retroactive pay. The paycheck that the mayor would receive from here to the end of the fiscal year would be higher, and would make the salary at the end of the fiscal year $85,000, approximately $85,000.
So we're not going to give you one lump sum retroactively. We're going to spread that out over the next, how many ever months that is.
Yep.
It
would increase. It would make the salary $85,000, and whatever the remainder is between the time that this takes effect and the previous pay the mayor has received would then be spread out for every paycheck.
I just want to make sure, because I've been told that retroactive pay is actually prohibited by our state constitution, and I have no idea if that's true, but if Mr. Bradley's on the call somewhere, I bet he can confirm if that is valid or not, and if this would be acceptable.
Yeah, the Tennessee Constitution does prohibit retroactive laws being passed. Whether or not that would apply to this situation's, I suppose that could be debated. My suggestion is, though, that, and I've told the mayor this because I proposed an ordinance at his request, and my recommendation was that you put a monthly amount. So there's no, this is all confusing what you're talking about, all these different numbers. The mayor's currently making $3,600 a month. That's what is in the budget for the mayor, $3,600 a month. Previously, he was making $8,372.70 a month. If that's going to be his future compensation, it would be much clearer and much better for the finance office for sure to put that amount in there and say set some date, beginning, March 1st, the mayor's salary should be $8,372.70 a month, rather than talking about appropriating lump sums and whatever. It just seems to me that's a clearer way to do it. Everybody needs to know what you're voting on. The mayor's salary is currently $3,600 a month. And the previous salary, let's put it this way, the previous salary before the change in last year's budget was the $83,72.70 that I referenced. In my opinion, any change should be made should not be retroactive. It should be in the future only. Otherwise, there's nothing that stops the board from, awarding all of you a pay increase retroactively. I mean, there's nothing particularly different about this. The mayor's pay was set in last year's appropriation ordinance, and that was the pay that was in the ordinance that was established when he ran for office. What our charter says, just because there's a lot of confusion about this, our charter allows us as a board of mayor and aldermen to set the compensation for the mayor and the alderman in the annual operating budget. That's what the charter says. It doesn't talk about amending the budget, although you can argue that it could be amended. It talks about in the annual operating budget, the salary and compensation for the following year is to be set. It also has a provision that says the compensation of the mayor shall not be decreased during his term of office. The reason for that was there was a concern. This was done at the same time the city administrator provision was added to our charter. This was done because there was a concern that a mayor might run for mayor as a full-time job, let's say with a salary of $80,000 a year, and he's elected. And then after he's elected, the board could come in the next appropriation ordinance, change his salary to $20,000 a year if they didn't like him, and then they could hire a city administrator to do the other chores. So this provision in our charter was to protect the mayor, not from having a city administrator taken away from him, but from having a city administrator added to him. But nonetheless, the charter does allow an increase in pay. But in my opinion, it needs to be done in the future, not retroactively. It'd be hard to justify, in my opinion, to the controller's office or anybody else a retroactive pay increase.
So, Alderman Collins, maybe I can help out. I got a little bit confused with that as well. So maybe what we do is if we accept this amendment, I will come back and do what our city attorney has suggested, that lay it out what the monthly salary will be. I really can't do that right now until we actually pick a number. And so if we go with this number, when we bring it back to second reading, I'll lay it out what the monthly salary would be. And that would be very clear.
Okay, I think getting it clarified for this second reading would be acceptable to me. I just want to really understand where the numbers are coming from.
Thank you, Alderman Collins.
Thank you.
Alderman Cunningham.
Thank you, Mayor. While you guys were talking, I did a little math. And if we're talking about 85,000, that's the difference between $3,600 a month and $7,083 a month, or $3,483 a month times 4, thinking March, April, May, and June. So that would be a total of $13,932 plus whatever taxes were incurred from that, the FICA, which is what, about 7.5% that we owe on that, and some other, benefits and expenses associated with that. But anyway, you know what, Mayor, I wouldn't at this point have any objection in restoring your totally full salary and giving all the responsibility back to you and eliminating a COO.
We can't do that tonight. That would have to be with an ordinance.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't have any objection doing that at this point, and giving you a cost of living or whatever raise that would be associated with it, and benefits associated with that, and just having you run the city. I mean, that's what the citizens were voting on. They weren't voting on a CA. They weren't voting on a COO. They were voting for you to be the CEO and have full authority and responsibility to run the city.
I will second that.
Well,
thank you for your comments.
I mean, that's what that's truly what they voted for. There was no mention of a COO or any kind of, I mean, okay, maybe you need to have another type of an administrative person too, that we can build into the budget for this coming budget year, to help you with the more mundane administrative type of stuff. But I mean, I'm really, I mean, if you want your salary, give it to you full 100%, 110%, whatever raise is implicated with it, and having you be the CEO like the citizens voted for several months ago. That's what they voted for. And I keep on hearing that over and over and over again.
Alderman Cunningham, thank you. Alderman Petrelli.
Oh, were you done, Alderman Cunningham?
Yeah, I guess I was done. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mayor. So from what I'm hearing in this conversation, it seems like folks are, friendly to the idea of adjusting the mayor's salary. I don't really think that's the question. I think I think if a meeting had been held, getting to what exactly the salary is, that would have been more helpful, but I guess that meeting can occur before the second reading so that we can get those exact numbers. But what I would like to propose is an amendment that whatever we decide the mayor's salary is, whatever is decided upon, that we actually start the salary at the time when the permanent COO is chosen per the legislation and the application requirements set forth by this board and told to the HR department. As you all know, I think an email went out yesterday or today, I can't remember. There's been a lot of emails, asking what the update is on the selection from the applicants. My understanding per the HR director is that there are viable candidates and MTAS has given the blessing, but in our ordinance after this, our resolution after this, our legislation after this, we're going to discuss an interim COO. And to address Alderman Waters mentioning that, start the COO salary at 85. Well, I mean, our next line of business is looking at an ordinance where the baseline salary for the COO is 114. So that figure has already jumped $19,000 just for the COO. So I'm going to make the amendment right now that whatever we decide on regarding the mayor's salary, and I am a proponent of raising the mayor's salary or the mayoral salary, is that salary increase will start on the date that the permanent COO is hired.
So let me ask you a question. If the board votes, if I bring a COO candidate and the board votes no, the mayor doesn't receive the salary increase. So you could vote for this and then the board could continue to vote no, and the mayor wouldn't receive the salary increase.
That's a good point. I didn't think about that. Well, if you offer, I mean, we're really getting into suppositions now, but if you brought a candidate forward, he was signed off on by the HR department and
well, hold on. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
And so the applicants all were put in on February 12th, right? Was that not the deadline that you set?
I believe so, but the board never expected the HR department to sign off on anybody or rate them or anything like that.
I misspoke. I guess what I'm saying is, per the email that we received today, those applicants are ready for review. Is that correct?
They are, and I've been reviewing them since we got them.
Pardon?
I've been reviewing them since we receiving them.
Okay. So in the supposition that you brought forward one of those, how many candidates are there? 8?
I believe so, and we'll get to that when we get to my report later on. I think the 2 items are completely unrelated.
No, it's related, and I think that's another reason why we need to have the reports, maybe a reconsideration of the reports before we start business, because if there's information in reports that is pertinent to what we're voting on, it's kind of odd to have it after the meeting. Anyway, so let's do a supposition. If you were to bring one of those candidates to the board and they were not hired, I think you showed your intent, that your intent was to hire one of those people. I would be okay at that point restoring your salary. The intent of my amendment is that we get to the permanent COO position and just kind of move on with business. It concerns me. I don't want to talk about the specific people involved, either in interim positions now or proposed for interim positions, because we all know that they're fine people. But to a certain extent, it seems odd to propose another interim after a previous interim and it creates a level of instability or the perception of instability with city government. Why are we having so many interims? So we have the applicants for how many days now? They've been in 10 days. I think the focus needs to be on choosing that applicant and just moving the city forward. So again, my amendment is to start is to compensate the mayor whatever salary we decide on once the permanent COO is hired.
I'll second that.
Okay, so a motion, a second. Alderman Petrelli, you mentioned something about my intention. Have I ever expressed I don't intend to hire a COO?
I don't know.
I haven't. Have I ever expressed it in a public meeting, anywhere online, anywhere that you've read? Have you seen that?
I don't look online. I would prefer to get information straight from you, but sometimes we don't get that information. There was an email sent to you this week asking where you were in the process, and we haven't gotten a response from that.
I was going to give that in my report. I have every intention of hiring a COO. There's no reason in the world that I would have voted for that and sponsored it with Alderman Robertson if I didn't intend to bring a COO. I'm very disappointed that you think I lied. I'm very disappointed in that.
I didn't say that, Mayor.
So I have every intention to bring a COO forward. We are still on schedule. This is going to be part of my report later on because that was part of the schedule that we put together and part of what the board agreed to a couple weeks ago. We are very much on schedule. We have all the applications and all the information. As I said, we're still on schedule. We're meeting deadlines.
What is the schedule? I'm not aware of the schedule.
I'll be happy to send it to you tomorrow. The next deadline is that tomorrow I make my decision on who the finalists are. And then I believe the next item after that is interviews from that HR is going to help me put together. There was never an expectation that HR will put together a list of finalists or that MTAS will put together a list of finalists. That was not discussed by the board.
That wasn't what I was inferring. I was inferring with you're working with HR and with MTAS and
that's been happening.
Bringing forward your selections.
Yeah, and that's been happening, but I don't have to forward them to anybody. The next item on that schedule is that I determine the finalist. And then after that, it's not that I come back to the board. It's that I determine finalists. And
right.
Then interviews with the help of HR. HR has met all the deadlines that they've been asked, that they agreed to. MTAS has met all the deadlines that we asked them to. We are fully on schedule. I wouldn't be going through that if I didn't have intentions of hiring a COO. What I worry about though is that if I bring forward a COO, a name for COO, and that person is rejected for some reason, that the mayor's salary continues to be at the rate that it is, that several people here tonight, several people that communicated with you over the past couple of weeks have made clear that is unfair. And so I have a hard time connecting these two, and I think it's two separate items. Alderman Edwards.
No, I still have the floor. Thank you, Mayor. So what is your time frame for selection? When do you plan to bring forward the final COO candidate to BOMA?
March 9th is the date that was on the schedule.
March 9th. Okay. My intention is to not, I'm not sure. I get so tired, and I don't want to get into personalities, but when you call me a liar, or that I thought that you lied, that's, I voted for this COO in good faith. I mean, we're trying to get you what you want. And my intent is to support whatever salary it is that you're asking for, or the board, works together to achieve. I would prefer to just speak about the annual number to keep it crystal clear, and you all can figure out the monthly. But my intent is to not hold you hostage with loopholes of when somebody is, oh, we're going to try to stall that out. That is not my intention. If there's a list of folks that are qualified as determined by you, the HR department, MTAS, and what we set forth in the legislation, we don't know who these folks are. We're probably more than likely going to vote yes on your selection, like we have done with every other department director candidate.
A couple things is you just mentioned that you're going to approve somebody if they come forward with I suggestion with HR signing off with MTAS's approval. That is not what was expected of me. And that's what worries me here is the board voted when they created the COO position that I bring that person forward. HR helps and MTAS helps. They do not and are not expected to give a thumbs up or thumbs down on those folks. And you just said that if I bring forward a name with a blessing of HR and MTAS, that you think the board will go along. That worries me an awful lot.
Okay, I'll restate
out earlier.
I'll restate it. If the person who you bring forward meets the qualifications that you, the mayor, put forth in the application process, and they meet those qualifications, then there's no reason to not support it. Correct?
I agree, but let's keep in mind that the board has voted down people that I have recommended in the past.
That's a fair point. Anyway, my amendment is to change the mayoral salary once the permanent COO position is selected / hired. That's my amendment, and I believe Alderman Cunningham seconded it.
Okay. Anybody wish to speak on that item? Specifically, that item, it's about timing. Alderman Edwards.
Yeah, just briefly, Alderman Petrelli, I do appreciate and respect your amendment. I think you have good intentions here. What I may do, I may vote against it just tonight, but if it does fail, I would request that you rebring this at second reading. If we have a second reading, I'd like 2 weeks to consider that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alderman Edwards, thank you. Alderman Brown, on the timing?
Yes,
Go ahead.
please. I agree with the timing. You said we're on target for March 9th. I think I remember that. I do agree with you. We didn't set any parameters on you. Only thing we asked is, as I think as a group, is use the expertise of the HR department and MTAS, and obviously you've done that. This is going to be your COO. We will learn to like that person and work with that person one way or the other. And they will have to learn us as well as you. So I think there's got to be somewhat of a trust level there that this is going to work right. And I agree with the amendment. I think that makes things move a bit, but I would also like to see a firm dollar put in there so you would know exactly what that figure is and we would know exactly what that figure is. So I would move to amend.
Alderman Brown, we can't at this point. Right at this point, we have an amendment to the amendment already.
Okay, we do. We've been talking a long time, Jim.
I understand. Anybody
But thank you.
Anybody else wish to speak on the timing of this? All those in favor of the amendment from Alderman Petrelli, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please say no. When Annette calls your name, Annette, I vote no.
Brown,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Collins,
Yes.
Cunningham,
Yes.
excuse me, Dixon, Dixon.
Hold on, I've got to turn on her microphone.
Okay.
Alderman Dixon.
No.
Edwards,
No.
Hayes,
Yes.
Peterson,
No.
Petrelli,
You're muted.
Sorry. Yes.
Robertson,
No.
Skidmore,
No.
Waters.
No.
Six ayes, 7 noes.
Thank you, Annette. That fails 7-6. Alderman Edwards, I know that you had your hand up a second ago. Do I need to come back to you or go to Alderman Brown?
Oh, no, go to Brown, Alderman Brown, please.
Alderman Brown. And by the way, this is still on the amendment to reduce the amount.
Okay, good. Tell me exactly where we're at on that,
Well,
please.
we're reducing the, so if you go to page 14,
Yep, I'm there.
instead of that 32,622, it would be 17,622, with the expectation that if that amount is approved on first reading, that I will include a monthly amount for second reading, just to make it cleaner and simpler to understand.
Mayor, could you repeat that again? I just want to make sure that I heard that right.
Okay, sure. On page 14, where you see the amount of $32,622.76, my amendment is that we reduce that by 15,000, in which would essentially lower the mayor's salary from 100,000 to 85,000. So we reduce that number from $32,622 to $17,622. And if that passes first reading, I'll come back and explain how that is paid out monthly to avoid the confusion that was mentioned earlier. So,
Okay.
Alderman Brown, ready to vote? We can do that.
Well, no, I got a question on that, and then I think I'll be ready to vote. I would feel better if we put a monthly amount in there now and a start date now, and then come back in 2 weeks and hack it out. So,
Well, we just had a motion to put a start date on it and that failed.
I'll second it.
well, you don't know what the amount is yet. Whatever, I think 7,000.
So I think we have to know when the effective date would be. It's sort of hard to do the math right now because it has to pass second reading. We have to know the effective date. And then when we come back to second reading, we come up with approximation of what the monthly amount would be. And I'm happy to do that before second reading. I mean, I'll even send an email on it as soon as we have an idea.
Okay, I'm good with that.
Okay. Alderman Cunningham. Your hand was up. Did you?
Yeah, I was just doing the math again, Mayor. If we leave it at 17,000, that gives you an annual salary of like 94,000, not 85,000.
I don't think so, because
if you take 17,000 divided by 4, okay, just follow with me here. Bear with me here for a minute. Divided by 4 months, okay? That's, I'm sorry, wait a minute. 17,000 divided by 4, that equals $4,250 a month plus $3,600 that you're getting now. That's $7,850 a month times 12 is $94,200.
You have to consider also that the pay rate for the first 4.5 months of the fiscal year was different than the pay rate for the past 2 months. So the easiest way to explain it was that the 32,000 got it to a level of 100,000. To get it to a level of 85,000, we have to reduce it by 15,000. So we take 32,000, subtract 15,000. That's where I came up with the 17,000. If this math is wrong, well,
yeah, I mean, just defer to finance for the final.
And again, the hard part is that it was one rate at 4.5 months and then another rate at 2.5 months. So yeah, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, just it's all math. That's all it is. Thank you,
Alderman Brown, something else?
Am I unmuted?
Yeah. You're unmuted. I don't know if I was supposed to put your hand down or not.
I don't know if that's me or you. I'll do it. But I believe that our finance director is prowling around in here somewhere. So why don't we defer to him now on the numbers? Mr. Manning, are you there?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Okay.
So Robert, I think the question is, if 32,622 gets us to a salary of 100,000, how do we get to a salary of 85,000 for first reading? Robert, we heard you for a second and now we don't hear you.
How about now?
There we go. You're good.
Okay, I apologize. I was trying to say I'm a little out of pocket at the moment and don't have full access to everything at the moment. But if I hear you correctly, you're asking what do you do to make it 85,000 for the full year?
Well, yes.
Fiscal. Okay. I won't be able to have that number just readily available.
Is it as simple as subtracting 15,000 from what's in the ordinance now?
To be entirely honest, I wouldn't be able to give an answer because I wouldn't confidently know if it was accurate or not. I would hate to guess, if that makes sense.
Okay. And that's something that we can fix if we need to. I feel confident that's the correct answer.
Yes, absolutely. It's the next opportunity I have here shortly, and I can probably get you something. I just wouldn't be able to do it in time, and I wouldn't feel right making you guys wait till that time.
We can talk about it tomorrow and also talk about the timing tomorrow. So I appreciate that. And also talk about the monthly amount. So we're back on this amendment and I see no other hands. So I think we're ready to vote on the amendment to reduce the $32,622.76 to $17,622.76. All those in favor of that amendment, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please say no when Annette calls your name. Annette, I vote aye.
Okay, thank you. Brown,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Collins,
Aye.
Cunningham,
Aye.
Dixon,
Aye.
Edwards,
Aye.
Hayes,
Aye.
Peterson,
Aye.
Petrelli, Robertson,
Aye.
Skidmore,
Aye.
and Waters. Can you say again, please, Waters?
Did you hear you again?
Say it again.
Aye.
Thank you. 13. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Annette.
Okay, 13, yes.
It passed unanimously. Now we're back on the main motion as amended. Alderman Petrelli.
You're muted.
I didn't wish to speak on the amendment. I was going to speak after this legislation. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor of ordinance 2021-6 as amended, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please say no when Annette calls your name.
Brown,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Collins,
Aye.
Cunningham,
Aye.
Dixon,
Aye.
Edwards,
Aye.
Hayes,
Aye.
Peterson,
Aye.
Petrelli,
Aye.
Robertson,
Aye.
Skidmore,
Oh, go ahead, Mom. Aye. Sorry.
okay, Waters,
Aye.
Clary,
Aye.
13 ayes.
Passed unanimously. Thank you, Annette. Alderman Petrelli, we're going to make a motion to take a break. We've been at it for 2 hours.
Motion to take a 5-minute break.
Let's do this. I won't call on anybody. I won't say anything for 5 minutes. We won't take a vote on that. We'll just come back in 5 minutes unless somebody wants to make an objection right now. See y'all at 9:06.
We come back with A, right? Come back with A.
Yes.
A.
There's some ointment out here. I'm not sure what for, but it's laying down there. Yeah.
Pull this one closer to you. Huh? So you can hear it. Just a second. If he's turning yours on, pull this one closer to you. The audio will still come out of it.
I'm good, thank you.
Thank you. Huh? I'll get old. That's true. Thank you very much.
Be here. I'll be another year older before I know it.
Tina, are you with me? We're not quite ready to start. We're tinkering with something.
Ready when you are, sir.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alderman Hayes, are you with us? I apologize. We went a little bit longer. We were sort of tinkering with something.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Tina, are you ready? Let's go ahead and go. Thank you, Jason.
You're all set, sir.
Appreciate that. Next on the agenda is Resolution 2021-5. This is a resolution appointing an interim chief of operations to administer the business of the city of Hendersonville. I so move.
Second.
We have a second from Alderman Waters. Alderman Edwards.
Okay, thank you. I have been working with our city attorney to try to, apparently there's some issues raised as to the legality as to whether or not this resolution, maybe the city attorney can speak to this, whether this resolution passes legal muster, because it may amend in a previously enacted ordinance. So perhaps the city attorney, well, what we've done is we've come up with this language. Tina, I may need your help. I'm going to try to screen share. Okay, can everybody in person and on Zoom see this? And can everybody read it?
We see that you started screen sharing, but we don't see anything. Tina, do we need to give it just a second?
Yes, sir. That's just a time lag.
Okay. Okay. So Russ, we can see what you've got on your screen now.
Okay, so you can everybody, the aldermen that are there in person, are you able to read this? You can?
It's small for my eyes, but I'm going to stand up and look.
Well, what I'll do,
I can read it.
okay, now can you, well, is that too large? That's too large, isn't it?
No, it's awesome.
Okay, can y'all all read, can you read this in the same, I just want to give everybody an opportunity. I can't change the font back now. Can everybody read the entire thing here?
There you go.
Okay. Well, I want to give everybody an opportunity to read this, and I can't, for some reason, change it back to, okay, here I go. Sorry. Okay. So everybody can read this. Here's what I've proposed, and I've worked with the city attorney on this, and if everybody can look to the resolution that Mayor Clary has proposed.
So we go to page 12.
Yes. I propose to remove items, paragraphs 4 and 5 in that resolution. The ones that, the first one, paragraph 4 starts with "now therefore be it resolved." And the second one is "be it further resolved." I propose to remove those and add this language. And what this language does is it accomplishes two goals. It, according to the city attorney, that it passes legal muster because of the fact that it doesn't really amend the previously enacted ordinance, and that would be that'd be ordinance 2020-53. So we can do this as a resolution. It doesn't really, because it doesn't use the word interim chief of operations, because that wasn't contemplated as part of the original part of the ordinance. And what it does is, so it names Paul Harbsmeyer in an interim basis, and it has the same salary amount as Mayor Clary has proposed in his resolution. But it also, in the second paragraph, it gives Mr. Lamarb, he will transition from interim city administrator to consultant, and Mr. Lamarb will continue to be compensated in accordance with the previously enacted resolution, at no less than 30 hours a week, and that is through March 15th. And so he will continue to get his pay through March 15th. And any other hours, let's say after March 15th, if Mr. Paul Harbsmeyer needs his assistance, or the mayor does, he would continue to get compensated. So that accomplishes those goals. And so I would like to give everybody an opportunity to read this, and the city attorney, to make sure it looks okay.
So Russ, just to make sure, we see two paragraphs. The first one is the "now therefore be it resolved." The second paragraph is "be it further resolved." And all we need to see are those two paragraphs. Is that correct?
Those are the two paragraphs I have proposed to replace your paragraphs 4 and 5.
Okay. So Russ, if you could go ahead and make that motion, and I'll second it.
Yes, I will make a motion.
Okay. So what we're doing is and I'll second that. On page 12, we're removing, actually removing three paragraphs. Is that correct, Russ?
No, it's just replacing paragraphs 4 and 5 with these two.
Oh, thank you. Okay. But Russ, the final paragraph, "be it further resolved that it expressly understood the interim chief of operations may not be considered nor apply for the permanent position of chief of operations." Do we keep that in there or not?
Well, that might be my next motion. Okay. I guess I can make it part of this one. My next motion would be to remove the language, "the interim chief of operations," and replace it with Paul Harbsmeyer, if that's your intention.
Okay, let's come back to that in a second. Okay. Right now, we're taking the two paragraphs that you see on page 11 that begin "now therefore be it resolved." We're striking that one. We're striking the one after that. And we are inserting the paragraphs that are in front of you. Does that cover it, Alderman Edwards?
It does.
Okay, and then we need to make one more change in just a second. So I think everybody's had that. And so Alderman Edwards makes a motion. I second that. Alderman Edwards, do you want to go ahead and discuss this and keep, if in order for me to go to other aldermen, we need to move this from the screen though.
Oh, you can't, well, do you have to? Can you leave it up just in case there's
Let
any
me see.
questions?
Well, I just can't see everybody. I know that Alderman Cunningham wants to speak. Should we go to Alderman Cunningham?
Yeah, I'm done speaking on this if she
Okay.
needs.
Okay, Alderman Cunningham.
Thank you, Mayor. I got a question on the salary. What would that annual salary be equivalent to for that interim person?
It would still be the 114,468.
So one of the arguments of the people or constituents, the citizens of Hendersonville, is that that person not be compensated more than the mayor be compensated. So even if we restore the entire mayor's salary, this person would be getting more compensation than the mayor, the CEO, which I'm going to go back again. The citizens do not want this. The citizens have spoken out against this. Even one of the alderman from Ward 6 spoke out against the COO having a higher salary than the mayor. Tonight, I am going to contend again, Mayor Clary, you're the CEO of the city. The citizens elected you by 63%. They did not elect a CA or a COO. I mean, this doesn't make any sense that person would be making more, would be hired at a much higher salary than our mayor would be. And I'm just going back to what my constituents want. They wouldn't be in favor of anything like this. And then the other thing is on the, now we have an end date on that, Mayor, right? Of not later than April the 30th, is that right? I have the original ordinance here that I'm reading.
Right, right.
Does that still stay the same?
Russ, help me out. I can't see where it would be.
Yeah, because it went off the screen now.
Yes, that to answer your question, what I've kind of haphazardly put together here, that Mr. Bradley and I put together.
Okay, I see April the 30th.
It would be or until April 30th, whichever occurs first, or whenever.
Okay.
Yeah, Chief of Operations hired or April 30th.
Okay, and then for our CA, Dave Lamar, he would be on the payroll until March 15th. Was that our agreement with him, Alderman Edwards?
Oh,
March 31st.
Okay.
Was it 31st? Okay, I couldn't remember. I didn't remember. Have you discussed this with Dave?
Are you asking me?
Yes, yeah.
I have not had an opportunity. It looks like Mr. Lamar is here.
Okay, all right. Well, I mean, that's just, I'm just curious about that. How did we arrive at that salary of $114,000 anyway?
It's the grade 24 step 13 salary.
There's different steps in those grades though, right?
Yeah, I think there's 18 steps in that grade.
Is that what the current salary is for that, in that commander is in now? Is that what his current salary is?
No, his current salary is lower than that, but he would be taking on it, obviously, additional responsibilities. So felt that it would justify a higher salary.
So he would be taking on a dual role, both in the police and executive?
Nope, he will be leaving the police department. He will be an executive.
So what is his salary now in the police department?
Gosh, I don't remember. It's I'm looking out here to get some sort of, if you can just 1 second. Paul, if you can just shout it out, then I'll repeat it. Okay, it's about 108 right now.
108. When Commander Harvsmeyer took over the county, what was it? The EC, what do you call it? The ECD?
Emergency Communication Center.
Yeah, emergency, thank you. ECC, right? Did we increase, was his salary supplemented by the county at that point? Because he had a dual role?
It was through the ECC. It wasn't from the city.
Okay, so he still got his full city pay, right, as commander?
He was working full time for the city. That was very clear.
Right, right. And then he got supplemented for taking on the other role of the ECC, right? You know how much that was, Mayor?
I think it was in at two different times. Paul, you want to come up here and help us?
It was 2,000 per pay period or 4,000 per month.
It was approximately 4,000 per month.
Okay, 4,000 a month. And he was supervising how many people?
53.
Okay, 53 people. Plus his regular salary with us of 108,000, right?
Well, at that point, it wasn't 108. It was lower because that was 2 years ago.
So say 104, 5.
It was completely two separate jobs, and we made sure that he understood that.
Right. I understand that. Okay. So now Commander Harvsmeyer would be just taking on the one job, the COO job. Is that correct?
We're not calling it COO with the change.
Well,
I get you.
an interim person doing the duties of a
Yes, that would
assisting you in your operational duties of the city. Okay.
That would be his sole responsibilities. He no longer has responsibilities with the ECC. In fact, they wished him good luck yesterday.
Oh, okay. Okay, he's a fine gentleman, what I have a problem with right now is the salary. Not because it's too much for Commander Harvsmeyer, but it's more than what our mayor is making. And that was a major complaint of the citizens. So I'm not sure how we can rectify that, if we need to decrease that amount or what we need to do on that. So thank you, Mayor. Those are my comments for now. Thank you.
Alderman Cunningham, thank you. Alderman Campbell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I was going to get to, thank you, Alderman Cunningham, for your input on the salary, comparing it to the mayor's salary. I mean, that's one of the big pushbacks I've heard as well. During the campaign, I also heard about the amount of money being spent that could be used for paving. That was something that was also told to me about wasting a lot of money on additional people to run City Hall, to the CA vote. Now we're just going to an interim, whatever we want to call it. And we originally, when we started talking about this, it was 85,000 to 110,000. That was our ballpark of the numbers that were being thrown out there when we originally started talking about this position. But I have another idea as well. Commander Harvsmeyer, I have the utmost respect for him. He's a fine individual, and you don't find a better person, in my opinion, than him. Top notch. We do have an educational issue here in our city of Hendersonville. We have education pay for all of our employees, and that's 550 employees that have the ability to step up and have the educational requirements that if they're looking for a promotion, some of them don't get promoted because they don't meet their educational requirements within a department. They've been there for 20 or 30 years, and they can do the jobs like anybody else could that had been through college and had a degree in their hand. And I'm concerned about these other employees. How fast will they be filing grievances moving forward, wanting to know when they're going to have a chance or an opportunity to step up to do some of these leadership roles without the proper educational requirements, or even why go out and get an educational increase in their pay. So that's something I know that's not even most people would even think about, but it was brought to my attention earlier today. And listening to the conversation, I just had to point that out right now. And I agree. I think $114,468.48 is a little much for this particular position. And I just want to stick with what I said originally when we started talking about this position. It needs to be a department head. I would prefer it to be the director of finance for the interim. If there's ever an interim, it needs to be a department head to step up and fill this role as an interim. And we're sort of going against that. I never did support going to 22 or 23 or 24. I said department head from day one, and I'm going to stick with that. And I certainly do appreciate your time. Thank you.
Alderman Campbell, thank you. Alderman Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. I do want to tell Alderman Edwards, I appreciate him working on this to try to part it down where we can work on it some more. And but I made a list of 4 or 5 things here that I want to. A couple of them already been touched on. I hate to see another change in leadership simply for employees. I don't think it's good for them. I don't know that it's necessarily good for anybody top to bottom. I mean, we went from the mayor to the CA. Now we're going to a COO, but we're going to an interim COO for a couple months, and then we're going to hire a full-time COO. I think there's one change in there that doesn't necessarily need to be made. Mr. Lamar has committed that he would stay through March 31st, and hopefully that you can find a candidate that you would be happy with and present this board with by that time. So let me go back and preface this. I think the World Hall Hobsmeyer, I urged him and supported him when he was in Gallatin working to help straighten a lot of things out up there, and he did a great job. He's always did a great job for our police department. So whatever I say is nothing against you, Paul. So I just feel like another leadership change is not good for a period of time, because about the time you get used to one person, you've got to get used to somebody else. We are in the middle of a hiring process. We discussed that a while ago. March 9th, I think, is kind of the date where you figure out maybe who you want. And so we're right in the middle of that, and that hiring process hopefully should be completed by March 31st, and we'd be through with it. Educational qualifications, Pat's already talked about it, so I'll just leave that there. Looking at a pay increase of $6,000, there's probably no doubt that Commander Hobsmeyer is worth that, but that's not what our ordinance says. And I want to talk about our ordinance just a second. That, not more than we spent almost a month. We spent several hours, 2 Tuesday nights, and a lot of committee work, a lot of amendments to get to a point where we voted on that COO ordinance 13-0. And that's pretty hard to do. I think anybody will admit that. We'll have even no votes on going to the bathroom for 5 minutes. But we voted on hiring a COO 13-0. And after a lot of work from Mr. Robertson putting that together, and Mr. Edwards working on it, amendments by you, Mayor. I think we had a couple of other amendments by the audience. And I come away not feeling great, because I've been a CA guy, and I'm still kind of a CA guy, but I'm willing to be a COO guy. So I come away feeling okay with that. I will have to tell you that I'll tell you this first. We're talking about a $6,000 increase. And I think you've got to look at the money. Our ordinance says 85,000, and I think the top end of that grade is around 100K or a little bit more. So that's a pretty good range. We've got to stay in that area. If we're going to increase your salary, the mayor's, we've got to stay in that range someplace. So I agree with Alderman Cunningham. But by increasing, and I had these numbers pulled for me. Commander Hobsbawm's pay about $6,000, maybe even 114. If he works one day at that rate, he will be able to cash out his sick days and vacation days to the tune of about $2,600 more. If he works more than that, if he works up to about 90 days, he'll be able to cash out at $5,500 more. So it's really more than a raise to $114,000. If Paul goes ahead and retires as he expects, then depending on if he works the 60 days, he's going to gain $4,000 or $5,000 when he cashes out because of the new pay rate. I honestly don't think that's fair to the citizens. I don't think that's tax dollar wise fair. I've talked to Commander Hobsbawm about this, not this particular issue, but he's told me that he was asked to do this. He didn't come to anybody and ask to do it, but he was asked to do it, and that he's a servant, and I believe that. I've seen that over the years since I've been around here, that he served and served well, and I believe he would serve well in an interim position. But I don't think it warrants that money. I honestly feel if Paul wants to do this for a couple months, and one reason the mayor said that he would like to have him as his interim COO is so to help him choose the criteria and the person that he wants to be the permanent COO. I would also go back and say, that I think the guy sitting behind the desk right now, the interim CA, has got pretty good experience, understands how to hire people, and he's got a little bit of gray hair for what hair he's got left. So I would say his experience is good too. So I'm not all that against the resolution, the way Russ, you've got it structured now. Actually, it might help us get a better person. I don't know, but I'm not real happy with the money. I mean, I'm not. And I could live with the rest of it, but I'm an elephant in the room guy. So, Mr. Marb, I want to ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
Can you bite off on this? I know that's a tough question.
Well,
if we pass this, can you do it?
Mr. Brown, I have to be perfectly honest with you and the board. You guys made a commitment to me to keep me on to March 31. I made a commitment to my family and my retirement program to stay on to March 31 and made some adjustments. And I think that I would like to see the board uphold that end of the contract agreement. If the mayor feels he can't work with me, that's all well and good. I would like for the board to consider a severance package, and if that's agreeable, then we can do that, and he can move on with his person because he feels that he can't work with me, and that comes directly from another alderman that the mayor feels like he cannot work with me. I've reached across the aisle and it hasn't worked. So from this point forward, if you all choose to hire Commander Hobsbawm, that's great. I like Paul. He's a good friend of mine. But I think that you need to honor your end of the resolution. And I've averaged 7 hours a day for 14 and a half months. I think that you guys honor that 35 hours a week times 26 days. It was 26 days left between now and March 31. And the city offers a severance package to me in good faith for the agreement that we both agreed to do. And starting tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock, Mr. Hobsbawm can take over and I will be gone from this office. So that's the only honest answer I could give you. I've been nothing but honest and upfront with everybody from this point forward. And I think that you owe it to the community and to myself and my family to uphold your end of the contract. Thank you.
Alderman Brown, you still have the floor. If you want to go ahead, that's fine.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks, Dave. I appreciate that. I appreciate your honesty, and your mic's still hot. So if you're going to mumble any, you need to turn it off. Okay. I do appreciate that. I think Dave has served us well. I think we we have pretty well said that March 31st is the date because we agreed to that. We started a hiring process. We've said March 31st all along. We know that may be April the 10th. It might be March 27th. We don't know for sure, but it'll be in that range somewhere. So I'm probably going to want to amend this, and I don't know if to do it at this time. Are we working on an amendment, Mayor? Where are we at here?
Well, we've got an amendment from Alderman Edwards that I seconded that replaces two of those paragraphs. Alderman Edwards is then, we're then going to come back and we're going to replace some wording in the paragraph below to make sure, well, I think what we need to do is say that Paul Harbsmeyer cannot apply for a COO position. I think that's the next amendment. But we do need to go to Alderman Collins first before we go back to Alderman Edwards.
Okay, let me, I just wanted to catch up where we at. We talked so long and stuff now that one more thing I wanted to say, and I just feel like it needs to be said, and I'm bothered about it a bit, and I don't know if anybody else is or not, but I am. And I've already talked on it a little bit. We worked very, very hard to get to the COO. We agreed. We have passed that ordinance 13-0. I think most of us felt that that was a pretty good 2 evenings of work. And here we are, just a very few days after that ordinance was passed, and this resolution is presented to us. I don't think it honors the spirit of the ordinance we passed, even though it's been reworked some by Alderman Edwards, Mr. Bradley. I feel better about it, but I still don't feel that it honors the spirit of the ordinance we passed. And take it for however anybody wants to take it. I almost feel like a little bit betrayed. I've heard the terms from speakers this evening, either at the podium, that says work together in harmony. I don't really feel that this is helping us work together in harmony. Unite our government. I've heard that one tonight too. I don't feel like this is going to unite our government. And again, I want to say this is nothing against Paul Hobsbawm. This is the process. We went through a very good process. We came to a point that we all felt good. Now we're sitting here hammering on another process when we don't really need to be doing that. And so I, for one, feel disrespected and betrayed over it, but that's just me. You know, I felt that way before. I'm sure folks have felt that I've done that to them, but I think I may want to come back and make an amendment. So before we make a final vote, please watch for my hand there. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Brown. Alderman Collins.
Is Commander Harbsmeyer on the call?
He's not. He's in the room, and if we need to, he can come to the podium. Jason, we can get a camera on the podium, can't we? We can get a camera on the podium. Do you want to ask him some questions?
I do.
Okay. So without objection, we're going to suspend the rules and ask Commander Harbsmeyer to come to the podium. And I caution everybody that we do that with. They have no obligation to answer the questions. But go ahead.
Yeah. Commander, I understand that you have been with our Hendersonville Police Force for over 40 years.
That's correct.
Is that true?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I know you hear that all the time, but sincerely, that is an impressive, really huge contribution that you have made. The city's only 51 years old, and you've been on our for 40 years. It's really something. You're planning to retire, I've heard April 13th and April 30th. Is that,
so actually,
which one of those?
My tentative plans before this came to my attention was the last day in the office was going to be March the 5th. And based on some vacation time I had, I was going to let that run. And my last day on payroll was going to be April 13th.
So that was the plan that I had set in motion.
And what is it now?
That's
What
up to
What
the
is
board.
your plan?
But again,
Okay.
I've got many faults. You can ask my wife. But the main one I have is when I'm asked to serve or to help is to say no. So I was asked if I would serve. I said I would. And so it's up to the board. So this does not delay in great length the plan that me and my wife had set in motion to retire April or start that process. So it will be a little bit longer, but if that's what the city so desires, then that's what I choose to do.
Okay.
If it's
The reason I'm asking you this is not with the intent of just putting you on the spot, although certainly I am putting you on the spot, but I'm concerned about a lot of turnover because if your retirement is firmly April 30th, then the employees would go from Mr. Lamar potentially to you and then to an unknown COO that we haven't hired yet in a span of 7 weeks, 3 supervisors in a year where we have quarantines. My kids are quarantined. I'm working from home. I'm working from work. I don't know where I work anymore. And all of this transition and you don't have to be very intelligent at all to know that those kinds of things hurt productivity and city services suffer as a result. So while I'm not trying to put you on the spot, I do want to get a sense for, like, do you have a cap for how long you're willing to serve or?
Well, I would think that to answer the question best that I can, I've never been one to leave someone high and dry. If April 30th, if we're very close, if it's a little bit beyond that, then I'm not going to just walk out the door. If it's before that, then that's fine too. But I think I got to be careful how I say this because my wife has, I've done this to her before about retirement. So I have to give her all the credit for sticking with me. But it can't be too much past that. We've already set some things in motion and so forth. But come April 30th, if we're that close, I'm not going to say, see you later, good luck. I've never been that person and I'm not going to do that. So I would be willing to go a little bit beyond that. But that would have to be on a, I guess, case basis to see where we're at and how much more I can obligate. And then talking with my wife again. But I'm not going to leave the city high and dry. But
but we're not going to see you here a year from now either.
No, absolutely not. I don't think that's productive for the city. I think the main focus, and again, I know this is somewhat about me, but I don't want this to be about me. It doesn't need to be. I think the really, if I can offer my opinion, it's the city moving forward, and it's the city finding the best COO that we can in a permanent position as we move forward. So I think it's important that we maintain operations, we maintain stability, and we find the best permanent COO that we can for the city for the simple fact that in this turmoil or transition, there is a lot of anxiety, and I understand that. And so if I'm chosen to do this or the board so sees fit to vote, my mission will be to maintain operations. I'm not a micromanager. I believe in servant leadership. The employees are not there for my benefit. I'm there for their benefit. So if I can serve and help out, then that's what I want to do. But to answer the question, again, no, not a year from now. I'm not seeking this job. I was asked if I would serve. And again, that's probably the biggest fault I have is I can't say no. And I want to help if I can. When you dedicate 40 years to the city, it becomes part of you. It becomes who you are. And so I just want to help if I'm in a position to do that, and would be honored to do that if so. And if not, I understand perfectly. It's up to the board. I hope that addresses the question.
It does. It does. And I want to say that I'm not sure where I am on this right now, but you know, we've met one time, so you know that this is not a personal thing for me. It could not possibly be.
I absolutely understand. That's why I don't want this to be about me. I
Sure.
don't believe it's about me. I believe it's about moving the city forward, whatever's in that best for the city. And so I realize that, and I appreciate the comments. They mean a lot, and I've had a very good career, and so I understand that 100%.
Okay. That's all I wanted to just get some clarification on that, Jamie. So I'm good now.
Thank you, Alderman Collins. Alderman Edwards, on the amendment, or should we go ahead and vote on this and then come back to you?
Let me say something about the amendment. And Annette, I emailed you the proposed amendments. I don't have your cell number. I would have texted you. I'm just telling you in Word format so you can just cut and paste.
Okay.
What I want to say is that I was given the date of March 15th, and I just put that in there. There was no ill intent there. So I would request, I had made the motion and to amend, and it included the date of March 15th. I would request that be changed to March 31st based on the statements of Dave Lamarbe. And I do apologize to Dave for not calling about this. I'm honestly been flapping my wings as hard as I can to keep up with everything and trying to juggle a lot of balls here. So I apologize for that. There's nothing, and I hope that you will be willing to serve as a consultant, and I would hope you would through March 31st. And after this amendment, I want to speak about you staying in the same office so you don't have any fears of you being gone having to be kicked out at 9 o'clock in the morning. So
Alderman Edwards, hold on one second. Annette, did I second the motion for the amendment?
Yes, you did.
Okay, so Alderman Edwards, I'm going to agree with you for that change for our proposed amendment, that striking, replacing March 15th with March 31st.
Okay, and okay, very well, appreciate it. Dave, are you fine with doing that? It wasn't clear if you said you were willing to stay on as a consultant through then.
Well, I'm not sure what you mean as a consultant. As far as I mean, the day-to-day operations right now, I've been doing it for 14 and a half months. I mean, job responsibilities. I don't know where this thing lies in the middle here of, you know, Paul comes in here and starts tomorrow and he's running the show. What benefit is it for me to be here other than to hold his hand? Okay. Nobody held my hand December the 10th of 2019. And I feel like if the mayor truly wants me gone, which is obvious by his resolutions and the things that have been said and done on Facebook and everything, then that's fine. Just honor your agreement and I'll walk, and then Mr. Hobsbawm can take over tomorrow, and I can pack my bags tonight and be gone. I just don't feel like me staying on as a consultant and holding his hand. He's been there 40 years. I've been here 41. And, you know, I just don't think that's going to be a good situation, to be honest with you. I think it's going to create more controversy. He's going to be working for the mayor and I'm going to be a consultant. I mean, let's look at the reality here. What advice are they going to take from me? The mayor doesn't take any advice from me now. So why would I think he's going to take advice from me as a consultant? So again, I'm being just as truthful and as blatantly honest as I can. I don't think it's a good move to be a consultant. If you want me to stay in this position as CA till the 31st, I'll stay. If you want me to move on, I'll move on and let Mr. Hobsbawm take over. That's the board's wishes. But I think that you just need to honor your contract and then we'll take it from there. But I don't think me being a consultant and following Paul around and answering questions and stuff like that is going to be beneficial for anybody.
Alderman Edwards, do you have anything else?
Well, I mean, I still want you to get paid through the end of March. That's what we had voted on, and I want to honor that. I really wish this decision had not come in front of us, but like a lot of issues that we have to face, but that's what we signed up for, to make some hard decisions. I really wish it didn't, but here it is. So, but I want to, we want to leave this language in there, Dave, that you'd stay on as a consultant, or do you want it as a, I want you to be there to help Mr. Harbsmeyer out, or do you want just that to be as a severance package through the end of March?
I think the severance package, and we cut ties immediately, I think is the best way to go. Again, one of the aldermen said specifically to me a week ago, quote, "The mayor cannot work with you," end of quote. I feel that we need to cut ties. I think it's time to cut ties, or you guys do something else. Okay, I think it's time. The mayor refuses to work with me, and I just think it's time to move on. Okay, for the city to move on. Paul, I wish him the best and everything, but I just think it's time with the situation given, since the board is not going to complete the process that the mayor and the board voted on a couple weeks ago to hire a CEO, a COO, and he's got 8 applications, and we have a process, and then we change the process. Okay, I just don't think me being here as a consultant is going to work. We just keep changing the rules every day, and I'm a rules guy, and I can't change rules every day. So I think a severance package and I move on will be the best for everybody concerned, and the mayor and some of the board members that want me gone. We overheard the conversation a few weeks ago, a month ago, that they wanted me gone at a certain time. I thought he was going to go tonight. Those words have rung in my brain since that time, and I think it's time to cut ties and move on. Thank you.
Alderman Edwards, by the way, so I feel like we have agreed to change the ordinance to March 31st, and I'm fine leaving the text as it is right now. So I'll back to you.
Well, if I guess I'll leave it on. I want, I was trying to come up with some changes here on the spot, but I'll leave it on. I want to see Dave to get compensated. So I'll keep the language the same, except for he will be paid through March 31st.
You lost me. Are we
okay? So I'll keep it the same then, and just that he'll be paid through March 31st.
What we agreed to 10 minutes ago.
Yes, but with, instead of March 15th, March the 31st. Yes.
Okay. Annette, did you get that our amendment that Alderman Edwards made that I seconded now includes March 31st instead of March 15th?
I did.
Okay, appreciate it. Alderman Edwards, anything else?
Nothing, thank you.
Okay, I will come back to you after we dispose of this amendment. Alderman Cunningham.
Thank you, Mayor. What a sad day. We were so united 4 weeks ago when we passed the COO ordinance. And now we're at this point. I don't know what the sense of urgency is here. We're probably weeks away from hiring a permanent COO, and now we have to go through this. We were a united board. It just is so sad and disrespectful to this board. I feel like we were betrayed. It was a bait and switch. And I have absolutely all the faith in the world in Commander Harbsmeyer that he do a wonderful job. But to do this as a vendetta against our CA is absolutely absurd. And I have a real problem with the money. I have an extreme, huge problem with the money. I can't get past the money. I'd like our attorney to weigh in on this. And I don't know if we're violating the very ordinance that we passed 4 weeks ago or not. It was my understanding that in order to amend an ordinance that we passed previously, it would have to be amended by another ordinance. Attorney Bradley, I mean, could you weigh in on this?
Yes, ma'am. You cannot amend an ordinance by resolution. What Mr. Edwards' amendment does is it in essence has you amending ordinance 2019-63 as amended. That's the resolution 2019-63. That's the resolution where Mr. Lamar was hired back in the fall of 2019. That's what you're amending. So you're actually amending a resolution with the resolution. And you're right, the ordinance would not allow an interim COO in this situation because the ordinance specifically says that the interim city administrator with all his current duties will remain in place until you've hired a COO. So to avoid having a conflict with that, in essence, Mr. Harbsmeyer will be performing those duties until a COO is hired because the ordinance requires that the position of interim CA remain in place. So instead of Mr. Lamar performing those duties, it will be Mr. Harbsmeyer performing those duties. Also, the Chief of Operations ordinance does not even take effect by its own terms until you've confirmed a candidate for the job. So that is the reason for Mr. Edwards' amendment, is to avoid conflict with those provisions. And the only way you could do that was with a resolution amending the resolution appointing Mr. Lamar, which in essence is what Mr. Edwards is doing with his proposal.
Alderman Cunningham.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Well, like I said, I'm having I can't get past the salary part of it, only because a whole big to-do was made that the mayor should not be making less money than somebody that's working for him in that capacity. Now, I know other directors and our chief, some of our other employees make, have a higher salary than the mayor, but not, someone that's directly taking orders from the mayor. I mean, you as the mayor will be, will be supervising this person, will be telling this person, what to do, how to do it, where to do it, when to do it. But yet that person is making, is earning, 20, 30% more than you. I mean, that's kind of insulting. And that's not what the citizens want. The citizens wanted you, Mayor Clary, to be fully accountable, responsible, and had the authority to run the city. Not a CA, not a COO. I'm going to go back to that again because I'm wanting to sponsor an ordinance giving the full powers back to the mayor and completely doing away with COO.
I will second that.
Well, I mean, I'll have the ordinance now, but that's where I stand with this. And I am sorry, but I cannot support the way this is written. I just can't do it. I can't put my head on the pillow and sleep at night with it. Thank you, Mayor.
Alderman Cunningham, thank you. Alderman Collins.
I'm very saddened by Mr. Lamar's resignation, I suppose is what just happened. And to that end, I would like to make an amendment to the amendment, if that's where we are in the process, to just pay Dave $13,650, which I think is the math, severance, and let him leave on his terms in a dignified way. And I'd like to add that in. It's an additional expense. It is what it is.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Alderman Collins, help me out. The $13,600, is that what we were planning to pay him as a consultant and was just going to be severance now?
I think so. I heard 7 hours a day, and the remainder of the contract. That seems like.
Let me try this. Alderman Edwards, if we changed a couple words. I'm sorry, Alderman Collins, you want to go ahead? We might be able to do this
Is Robert in a better position now to do a little math for us, or?
Yeah, Robert, can you start doing some math on this? Alderman Edwards, let me ask you, can we accomplish this by just changing our amendment with a couple words?
That's what I'm working on right now. I'm going to try to do something on the fly and
And that
screen.
would come up to the 13,600?
If that's what Robert, if that's the correct math, if you want to maybe ask Robert, that would.
Okay.
13,650, is that the number? That's the number I've come up with. Yes.
Okay. So Alderman Edwards, if you want to change your motion on the amendment on the fly, as we all pay attention to you as you're typing right now, I'd be willing to continue to second that with the changes. But I do need to go back to Alderman Collins and Alderman Campbell. Y'all have both made a motion a second. Do y'all want to hold off and see what Alderman Edwards comes up with? And that way we wouldn't have to take a separate vote on it.
Sure.
Okay. Alderman Campbell,
I'm
you
willing
agree?
to, yes, sir.
Okay. And Annette, this is going to come flying at you pretty fast in just a second.
Okay.
Well, I'll email it to Annette if it's passed, but let's see how I did here. Screen sharing it. See what you think of the second paragraph.
Alderman Collins, does that accomplish?
Mr. Lamar, the date is tomorrow. Is that acceptable to you?
Yes, ma'am. If you pass it tonight, the 26 days between now work days, there's 26 work days between tomorrow morning and March 31. It's 7 hours a day times the hourly rate is 13,650. And that way you could start the process of the interim COO tomorrow morning.
Alderman Collins, if you want us to, Alderman Edwards and I will change our motion.
I don't want this, but it's required. Yes.
Okay. Alderman Campbell, are you okay with that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Alderman Edwards, back to you. It looks to me like it's in good form. Are you changing your motion now?
Yeah, I'll change my motion to include that language that was shared. If anybody needs to see it, I think I could probably email it to everybody if they want to look at it that way. Or if everybody's fine with that language, yeah, I would change my motion to include the language that was just shown.
Okay, I'll second that. Annette, I was the person who seconded earlier. Am I correct?
Yes, you are correct.
Okay. We have nobody else in the queue right now. So we're voting on the amendment that Alderman Edwards had up just a second ago. All those in favor of the amendment, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please say no when Annette calls your name.
Brown,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Collins,
Aye.
Cunningham,
This is on the amendment, right?
Yes.
yes,
Aye.
Dixon,
Oh, sorry. Try that.
Aye.
thank you. Edwards,
Aye.
Hayes,
Aye.
Peterson,
Aye.
Petrelli,
Aye.
Robertson,
Aye.
Skidmore,
Aye.
Waters,
Aye.
thank you, and Clary.
Aye.
13 ayes.
Okay, we're back on the main motion. Alderman Edwards, that last paragraph, what do we want to do there?
I mean, I think we could probably I would make a motion to remove it. It says that Paul Harpsmeyer may not be considered or apply for a permanent position. If Mr. Harpsmeyer says he's not going to try to do it, I would take his word for it. If he wants to answer that question, and we can maybe just remove that if you want to, that may make it easier.
He's coming to the podium right now.
That is correct.
Okay. So that would, thank you, Paul. That would be my motion, then, is to completely remove it.
And that's the paragraph that says that it is expressly understood that interim chief of operations may not be considered nor apply for the permanent position of chief of operations. We're striking that paragraph.
Yes, sir.
Alderman Edwards makes a motion. I second it. Annette, are you with us?
I am.
Super. All those in favor of striking that paragraph, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please say no. When Annette calls your name.
Brown,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Collins,
Aye.
Cunningham,
Aye.
Dixon,
Oh, I'm sorry.
I,
Edwards,
Aye.
Hayes,
Aye.
Peterson,
Aye.
Petrelli,
Aye.
Robertson,
Aye.
Skidmore,
Aye.
Waters,
Aye.
Clary.
Aye.
13 ayes.
That passes unanimously. Thank you, Annette. We're back on the main motion. I see nobody wishing to speak. I see no hands. I see nobody waving, nobody to the left of me, nobody to the right of me. All those in favor of resolution 2021-5 as amended, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please say no when Annette calls your name.
Brown,
Aye.
Campbell,
No.
Collins,
Aye.
Cunningham,
Sadly, no.
Dixon,
Oh, shoot, I am sorry again.
oh, I,
Edwards,
Aye.
Hayes,
Aye.
thank you, Peterson,
Aye.
Petrelli,
Aye.
Robertson,
Aye.
Skidmore,
Aye.
Waters,
Aye.
Clary.
Aye.
11 ayes, 2 no.
That passed with majority vote. Next, we have item C, which is second reading of ordinance 2020-51. This is an ordinance rezoning the property located on the east side of Calendar Lane on the north side of East Main Street, Hendersonville, Sunrise County, Tennessee. Alderman Peterson.
Here,
Thank you.
would you honor a point of information, please?
Let's see. What is it?
It's not bad, but I think it's pretty important. From what we just did, Mr. Lamar is, for all practical purposes, gone. Commander Maharmsmar is, for all practical purposes, in. We, several months ago, when we took these actions for the city administrator, we amended many ordinances that only allowed the city administrator to sign for things and do such as that. As of tomorrow morning, we don't have a city administrator. So I would like to ask Mr. Bradley, all those things that we did, how do we fix those now? I mean, when do we fix them? How do we fix them?
Let's do this. I'm going to have a couple questions as well. Let's put that at the back of the agenda on the mayor's report, and then we'll have more time to discuss it.
Okay, I'm good with that.
Appreciate that. Alderman
Thanks.
Peterson, do you have a motion for item C?
Yes, this is a motion for property next to Lowe's on Main Street to be Popeyes.
Okay, hold on 1 second. I need to get a second.
I'll second it, but then I have a question.
You're fine, Alderman Skidmore. The problem is I keep turning off people's microphones. So we have a motion, a second. We're going to go back to Alderman Peterson. Alderman Skidmore will come back to you in just a second.
Thank you.
Is Director Free on the line? He heard from the developer today, and they had agreed to the design. I believe Alderman Petrelli had mentioned it not looking like Jack in the Box, which is across the street. They have worked hard on getting a design that fits in with the scope of Hendersonville. It's a brick facade. And there was some question that I think originally Firestone was looking at that particular property. That is not the case here. The Popeyes franchise is on board, and they've submitted plans for this. And I recommend that we pass the second reading.
I appreciate that. Was there any specific question toward Keith?
No, he had heard from the developer personally, and he had just passed that information on to me.
Gotcha. Alderman Skidmore. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. My question is to the John Bradley on this, and I'm not sure whether there was a mistake, and maybe it can be addressed, but didn't we just get through pulling the public hearing to hear comments on this at the beginning of the meeting?
That was a different piece of property.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because I'm reading in my minute or my agenda, and I'm for this, but I just wanted to make sure, because item A on public hearing is Mrs. Chenault's rezoning, and I thought that was pulled, but I could be wrong. And if I'm mistaken, I just want to make sure everything is legal.
Yeah. Mr. Skidmore, you're correct. It is the Chenault rezoning that was listed as a public hearing. Whether it was supposed to be on the agenda that way, I don't know. You'd have to ask Mr. Free that. But it is the Chenault property that we're talking about right here.
Keith, you want to help us?
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you.
And there might have been some confusion with that 401 Anderson or Anderson Lane or 201 Anderson Lane property that was removed. It wasn't supposed to be on there. But this one, the public hearing should be on there. But I mean, if nobody signed up for the public hearing.
Okay, no one signed up for it?
I don't know if that was the case. I was a little confused as I was watching it earlier on that it was said that it was that there wasn't a public hearing, but there needed to be the opportunity for a public hearing. But if nobody signed up, then that was fine. But I guess the wording shouldn't be that it was canceled. It's just that I don't know if I'm.
No, I can verify that there was no one signed up for the public hearing.
Yeah, my wording was poor. There's nobody signed up.
Yeah, but it was a little confusing with that Anderson.
Well, I just wanted to make sure that there's not a legality issue on this.
No.
On this piece. I'm for this ordinance. I'm for this rezoning. Actually, I think it's good for the economy here in Hendersonville. And that's all I need to really say at this point. Thank you very much.
Alderman Skidmore, thank you. And thank you for catching that. Alderman Petrelli.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Alderman Peterson, for reminding Director Free. Specifically, what I had asked for was that it doesn't look like logo architecture, but I think I had asked that we could just get like a brief example of one of their elevations at last meeting. Was that submitted, Keith? You're muted.
There we go. Actually, what they've done is they've submitted through the Planning Commission process, and actually the full set of the site plan is going before the Planning Commission next Tuesday night. Of course, they knew they were taking a risk, doing that. If this could,
right. I was just hoping that we could get a peek at just a simple elevation of a standard store.
Yeah, we've worked with them to improve it from their standard store to be something that's more not, if it wasn't a Popeyes 5 or 6 years from now, it could easily be something else without any major changes to it.
Right, but I was hoping that the board could see that.
The developers are here, and they might be able to provide that information. But typically, even though we're kind of discussing that and everything, actually, the zoning would need to be approved just based on the use, but not on a particular elevation.
Sure, I understand that. That's why I just asked for a prototype.
And I think the developer is here, I believe, in the somewhere.
Are they able to just put up like the front elevation and prototype?
Without objection, we're going to suspend the rules. Is that Kevin's iPhone that we need to hear from?
No, it'd be Randy Perry.
Okay, Randy, without objection, we're going to suspend the rules to hear from Randy. Randy, please introduce yourself and tell us your connection to this situation.
I'm Randy Perry with GMC, the site civil engineer. Kevin Newell is a franchisee. He is on the call.
Okay.
And we have submitted full sets of plans, grading, drainage, utilities, landscaping, elevations to planning. We've received comments. We have resubmitted addressing those comments, and some of those comments had to do with the building elevations. So those full color elevations are at the planning department. It can be accessed there. I can try to pull those up. Yeah, I can see if I can do that. The color won't come through. What I don't want to do is have a discussion about the elevations when we're looking to rezone the property for the use, but I'll show you what we got.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm not looking to discuss the architecture. I just wanted to see whether or not I was previously a planning commissioner, and we would oftentimes talk about logo architecture. Just like at the last meeting, I just simply asked to see a front elevation of a prototype. I don't even expect it to be what this building is.
And I have that information. I just can't access it because I can't be on this meeting and access the city, my city accounts.
So,
Get out of
real quick. Tina, if Randy has that, can he share his screen for all of us to see it?
Sure.
Well,
Yes,
hold
sir,
on.
he can.
Tina, I need you to answer that one.
Yes, sir, he absolutely can.
Okay, super. Randy, we don't even see your face right now, so that might be the first step. Can you pull it up on your screen for us?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, I've just pulled it up. This is the black and white.
That's it.
I don't have the color, but the black and white, you can see it's all brick with New Orleans style shutters, and some of this has been adjusted to address Keith and his staff's comments.
Okay. Alderman Petrelli, anything else?
Thank you.
Okay. Randy, thank you. Tina, can you take that down for us? I don't see anybody else wishing to speak. All those in favor of Keith?
Mayor?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just a quick moment. I'm going to have to declare a conflict of interest, but I am going to vote my conscience on this property. It's nothing bad or anything like that. It's just my relationship with the Chenault people. So I wanted to let everybody know that out of an abundance of precaution, but I am going to vote my conscience. I think it's good for the property. And I hope this passes. Popeye's a great place to eat. I eat there all the time down there, the one on Rivergate, but it's going to be a lot different than this one. So I just wanted to let the board know that, and the people of Hendersonville. Thank you.
Alderman Skidmore, thank you. All those in favor of second reading of ordinance 2020-51, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please say no when Annette calls your name.
Brown,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Collins,
Aye.
Cunningham,
Aye.
Dixon,
Aye.
Edwards,
Aye.
Hayes,
Aye.
Peterson,
Aye.
Petrelli,
Aye.
Robertson,
Aye.
Skidmore,
Aye.
Waters,
Aye.
and Clary.
Aye.
13 ayes.
Thank you, Annette. That passes unanimously. Next, we have our consent agenda. Russ, please follow along. Alderman Edwards, please follow along. I want to make sure I have this correct. So we're going to be voting on items D, F, J, K, and L, and I'm not reading the captions of those. Alderman Edwards, do I have that correct?
Yes, sir, you do.
Would you like to make that motion?
So move.
I'll second it.
We have a motion from Alderman Edwards and a second from Alderman Hayes to adopt items D, F, J, K, and L. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please say no when Annette calls your name.
Brown,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Collins,
I'm sorry, my computer froze, my internet froze. Are we voting on the consent agenda?
We are.
Yeah.
In favor.
Cunningham,
Aye.
Dixon,
Aye.
Edwards,
Aye.
Hayes,
Aye.
Peterson,
Aye.
Petrelli,
Aye.
Robertson,
Aye.
Skidmore,
Aye.
Waters,
Aye.
and Clary.
Aye.
13 ayes.
That passes unanimously. Thank you, Annette. Next on our agenda is item 2021, second reading of ordinance 2021-2. This is an ordinance amending budget ordinance 2020-20 to appropriate capital project funds in the amount of $5,900,000. Alderman Cunningham,
So moved.
we have a motion
Second.
and a second from Alderman Campbell. Alderman Cunningham, any discussion?
No, not at this time, Mayor. Thank you.
All those in favor of approving second reading of ordinance 2021-02, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please say no when Annette calls your name.
Brown,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Collins,
Aye.
Cunningham, Cunningham.
Oh,
You were muted.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
I'm
Dixon?
sorry.
That's okay. Dixon,
Aye.
Edwards,
Aye.
Hayes,
Aye.
Peterson,
Aye.
Petrelli,
Aye.
Robertson,
Aye.
Skidmore,
Aye.
Waters,
Aye.
Clary.
Aye.
13 ayes.
That passes unanimously. Thank you, Annette. Now we have second reading of ordinance 2021-04. This is an ordinance to authorize amendment to budget ordinance 2020-20 and appropriating $101,000 from the general fund.
So moved.
A motion from Alderman Brown.
Second.
And a second from Alderman Campbell. All those in favor of a second reading of ordinance 2021-4, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please say no when Annette calls your name.
Brown,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Collins,
Aye.
Cunningham,
Aye.
Dixon,
Aye.
Edwards,
Aye.
Hayes,
Aye.
Peterson,
Aye.
Petrelli,
Aye.
Robertson,
Aye.
Skidmore,
Aye.
Waters,
Aye.
and Clary.
Aye.
13 ayes.
That passes unanimously. Thank you, Annette. Next, we have second reading of ordinance 2021-5. This is an ordinance adopted for the purpose of amending the City of Hendersonville, Tennessee municipal zoning ordinance regulating development within the corporate limits of Hendersonville, Tennessee to minimize danger to life and property due to flooding and to maintain eligibility for participation in the National Flood Insurance Program. Alderman Skidmore.
So move.
I second.
We have a motion from Alderman Skidmore, a second from Alderman Robertson. Alderman Robertson.
Yes, I would. I've asked for before, I would like to be added as a co-sponsor on this resolution, on this ordinance.
Without objection, we're going to add Alderman Robertson as a co-sponsor.
And I tell you what, it may be my fault and I apologize. I just can't remember whether I accept full responsibility as chairman of Public Works, brother.
Alderman
I'd like to
Skidmore,
be
I
added
was
to that as
accepting
well.
responsibility, but it's okay. I'll let you do that.
All right.
Alderman Campbell.
I'd like to be added to that resolution as well, that ordinance as well, sir, as a sponsor.
Without objection, we're going to add Alderman Campbell as well as a sponsor. So we have Alderman Skidmore, Alderman Robertson, Alderman Campbell. Alderman Robertson, anything else?
Yes, I just want to say the staff has worked long and hard on this, correcting the issues in this ordinance. And the good thing about this, what we're voting on tonight on second reading does set up a utility review board, a citizens utility review board that citizens will be able to take certain complaints for appeal to this board. And as the ordinance sets forth, the mayor will be appointing the board members with confirmation by this board. So I just think this is a big step forward. Thank you.
Alderman Robertson, thank you. All those in favor of second reading of ordinance 2020-05, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please say no when Annette calls your name.
Brown,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Collins,
Aye.
Cunningham,
Aye.
Dixon,
Aye.
Edwards,
Aye.
Hayes,
Aye.
Peterson,
Aye.
Petrelli.
Aye.
Robertson,
Aye.
Skidmore,
Aye.
Waters,
Aye.
Clary.
Aye.
13 ayes.
That passes unanimously. Thank you, Annette. Annette or anybody else, please correct me for what I'm about to say. I believe that we have removed item I from the agenda. We've dispensed with items J, K, and L as part of the consent agenda. Now we're down to brief committee reports. I see nobody correcting me, waving hands, or making ugly faces at me. Alderman Cunningham, Finance Committee.
Brief committee report. Thank you, Mayor. Well, our committee met tonight. We had a brief agenda. Under resolutions, we had resolution 2021-10, a resolution to adopt a fund balance policy for the city of Hendersonville. We had a lengthy discussion about that, and we had some changes. We proposed some changes to it, and that will be coming before our BOMA in 2 weeks from now. It was unanimously recommended with some changes that our finance director will be making before it comes before BOMA. We had our reports, and the most okay. We had our sales tax report, and that's the first one I want to tell you about. I didn't save the best for last. Our sales tax revenues are projected to be 12% year over year. The projection year to date, we have collected over $1 million more than we budgeted for. So we're on pace for a 13% increase year over year. And we should end the year with about 12% increase. So that will be helpful, very helpful to our general fund balance. And according to finance, our general fund balance, we should end up with over $5 million in that general fund or more by the end of the year. So it'll give us a good start to our new fiscal year. Hotel motel tax, we're starting to gain a little steam, but we had a little bit of a lull in January. December numbers last year was 17,000, this year 16,000. January numbers 17,000, this year only 10,000. But as the spring comes on, we should be able to see that improved dramatically. And then we went over the other reports, hotel motel tax, our cash flow report, our stormwater utility, and that is the end of my report, Mayor. Thank you. Brief report.
Chairman Cunningham, thank you. Chairman Skidmore, Public Works Committee.
Thank you very much. I only have two additional items at this point to discuss in Public Works that we spoke to this evening. One is just one that I'm sure that everybody on the board, we just had a rough about a week and a half, if you didn't know, about snow. And I want to thank the Public Works Department for the outstanding job they did in clearing our streets for our citizens in Hendersonville to get to work and back and to get food and milk and all that stuff that we normally do when it snows. They cleared the streets as best as they could. Now, residential streets, some of the streets were very, very hard hit, and we just couldn't get to them because of the ice. But I do want to stress to you that they were working day and night, and Marshall and Trace and their group got those guys out there, and they worked hard, and I want to thank you for that. and they just did outstanding work. And I'm very proud to have them on our team. And so thank you, Marshall, and thank you, Trace, this evening. And thank you, Public Works employees. We needed you, and you answered the call by far, and I want to thank you for that. The only other issue is, and I guess I'll let the mayor really discuss this under mayoral report if he's got a report on it. You know, we were talking about our cellular towers that we were interested in getting some agreements up with certain individuals that were coming in the city. We have one now worked out. Well, I mean, we hadn't passed it, but we're working to pass it. The one down in the Indian Lake area, and what we're wanting to do for all the aldermen and the mayor's office, as well as especially for Alderman Dixon's district and Alderman Brown's district, we are wanting to hold a public hearing or a public meeting where everyone is in the whole city is invited, but especially in Ward 4, that is invited to come to look at our plan from the city. It's going to be, they're wanting to place the tower on public property. So we felt that it was most important that we, let the people see what was coming, because if you all recall, they're moving the tower from Indian Lake Elementary real soon. And so you'll get more information from that, but we discussed it briefly tonight. And Mayor, if you want to add a little more on that on your mayor report about the cell towers, that would be great. Again, that's all I have for this evening. Thank you.
Chairman Skidmore, Alderman Brown, do you have a question for Chairman Skidmore?
Tim, we lost a week in trash. Do we absorb that? We get billed for that week that they didn't pick up trash last week?
They are the mayor's office as well as the city administrator and Marshall. They may have an answer for you this evening. I'm not sure if they do or not, but they're working on that. Our trash pickup is back on schedule now, but it's bad. I mean, they couldn't get to some of the places. So I don't know. Marshall, do you have anything to say about that?
I've discussed that briefly with Waste Pro. The volume is still there. We're just the amount of trash is obviously doubled from what it is this week, just because we missed an entire week. But I have not had a chance to discuss that with the city administrator, Mr. Dave Lamar, yet, or John Bradley, to find out the ramifications if we wanted to try to adjust payment.
Okay, well, you're going to have a hard time.
There's going to be an adjustment.
Discussing with Mr. Lamar, because I think he's out the door in the morning. So,
well, it'll be the mayor's office and along with Marshall's office, but they're making an adjustment on is the bottom line on it.
Okay, when will we think we know
notified.
That? Do we have any idea when we'll know that?
I expect we'll have an answer on that by the end of this week.
Okay, can you blast an email to BOMA about that?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you,
guys.
Thank
you, Mayor.
Thank you. Alderman Waters, you had a question for,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor. Alderman Skidmore.
Yes, sir.
Did I not read or hear something about our Public Works Director getting some kind of award this past week? Would you like to share that with us?
Yeah, he got the pat on the back from an Alderman Mark Skidmore. Yes, he did, and I'm very proud of him. Marshall, I want you, because you never do this, I want you to toot your own horn tonight.
Okay.
So I want you to tell the board of what you got. Go ahead now.
Very uncomfortable, but the certified public manager designation, there's a year-long course that I went through with many hours of education training, 1 day a month class, all day, and that wrapped up last month.
Great.
Recently I got that designation. I want to thank the city for letting me do that. That was I think a big step in my professional career, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Well, we're certainly proud of you. I know your whole family's proud of you. And, you know, I always said that you had it in you, man. We just got to give you a chance. And you've really performed yourself, and I'm real proud of that.
Thank you.
But board, yeah, you all should be proud too. But
Alderman Collins, did you have a question for Chairman Skidmore? Oh, you just went away. Alderman Petrelli, do you have a question for Chairman Skidmore?
Yes. Congratulations, Marshall. Regarding garbage, Mark, I
Yes.
know that the volume is a lot. And I know each word is different. I don't want to get into a huge discussion about it. But are people supposed to be taking their trash to the curb? Because I'm already, Marshall knows this, people are already asking me for dumpsters in town because they've exceeded their cans limits. And several have called saying that there is no way that they can take this trash to the street. There's just no way. So what is the plan for that? Are they going back door or gonna just do a rolling trash schedule?
No, the statement I put out earlier, I think regarding the curbside pickup, it was trying to encourage that. I realized there was going to be an increased volume, and we were simply just trying to encourage residents to take it to the curb. I realized, you know, there are some that physically can't do that, and that message I sent out was not for them. It was just for those that were able to do it. It was just for this week. The trash has been collected. We have not had to roll any streets to the next day, and the hope is that we'll continue this week with that same schedule, and no days will be pushed. We've managed to be able to do that so far, so I'm optimistic that we'll be able to continue this week and that'll have that same outcome. But
Okay, so folks are not required to take it to the curb, is what
No.
you're saying. Okay. And also, Mark, we received a message that all of Chesapeake Harbor was missed for trash today. Thank
Okay,
you.
we'll get on that thing here tonight and first thing in the morning too. And I appreciate you telling me that, because I have not looked at my emails today. So I'll look at them tonight when we are dismissed. But thank you for telling me that.
Chairman Skidmore, thank you. Next, we have City Administrator report from Dave Lamar. Alderman Brown, this is probably a better place to ask your questions if you have. Go ahead, Dave.
Okay, just a few thoughts here. Appreciate the time. Been a good 14 and a half months. I've tried to serve the city well. I've done the best I can. And so I don't leave with any malice. I want the board to understand that. I knew coming in it would be contentious. I've got thick skin and some things bothered me, got frustrated, but the long and the short of it is I think I left the city in a better place than when I came 14 months ago. And so I'll leave it with you guys, and good luck in the future. I will, Mayor, Mary Beth, Tina, I think I would like for you guys to clean my phone, wipe my phone tomorrow and put it on a zip drive for me in case I need that in the future. I will turn my key fob and keys in tomorrow. I'll come by tomorrow and turn my keys in to you, Mayor, whoever I need to. If Paul's here, I'll do that. So I'll come by in the morning and take care of that business. But it's been fun, been real. Sometimes it hasn't been real fun, but for the most part.
We love you, Dave.
Hey, it's a good experience. And, you know, like I say, I've come out of retirement twice, and trust me, I'm not coming out again, but that's okay. I appreciate the opportunity. I've learned a lot. You've got some really great employees. And just like in every organization, you have some slackers, but you really got some great employees from top to bottom. And I wish them the best, because they're a good bunch, and I hope they manage well, and I just wish them the best. So good luck in the future, guys. And, you know, it's been fun. Thank you.
Dave, real quick, I got to caution something. We don't delete stuff on city-owned phones. I just want to make that real clear. That's public record, and so we don't need to be doing that. So, so yeah. John, is that not correct?
All I want to do is transfer what I have on there to the zip drive, and she can have the phone do what she wants with it.
We can do that. Absolutely, absolutely. Alderman Brown.
Yeah, there's nothing on
Thank
there.
you, Mayor. real quickly, Dave, this is your third time leaving. If you're asked to come back again, don't. Trish may do things to you that in the night that with hammers and ball bats probably in your case, or golf clubs. So I appreciate you, brother, a lot. My question is to Mr. Bradley. Mr. Lamar is now gone. We have, I'm not sure what to call Paul. Paul is taking over tomorrow morning. And we changed several ordinances back 15, 16, 17 months ago, whatever that was, where the CA would be signing off on this and authorizing that and doing so on and so forth. It was not the mayor's responsibility anymore or anyone else's. So as of tomorrow morning, but where are we at on that? I want the city to be legal and safe and doing the right thing. And I feel like we've maybe left a gap here.
As much as we tried to avoid calling it the city administrator, the fact of the matter is Mr. Harbsmeyer will be continuing to act as the interim city administrator until such time as we have the COO, so that then at that point it would be the chief of operations. What this does is it gives us an opportunity to amend those ordinances that we amended a year ago from city administrator to chief of operations. And that way they'll be seamless. There won't be any period of time where there's not coverage on who should be doing what in the city. But for the short term, Mr. Harbsmeyer will be doing the things that those ordinances say the city administrator does.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Brown.
Yes, sir.
Alderman Petrelli.
Thank you, Mayor. Dave, as Vice Mayor of the city, I would just like to thank you for your service, not only during the last year, but as Alderman Brown said, your decades of work for the city. I said it at a previous meeting, but I truly believe that it was a God thing that you were with us prior to and during this pandemic, regardless of anybody's opinion on COVID. It certainly led to instability, not only in the city, but in our country. And you truly helped to bring a steady hand to our city, regardless of what anybody's opinions were on the position. We appreciate your service. I can't tell you how many employees have reached out to me over the last year and appreciated everything that you've done. And I just want you to know that in my heart, you leave on a high note. And just words just cannot express your level of dedication to the city, and it's greatly appreciated. Thank you, Dave.
Alderman Petrelli, thank you. Alderman Collins.
Officially, I believe Commander Harbsmeyer doesn't start until March 1st, but just very selfishly, Ward 5 garbage is Wednesday and Thursday, so we're going to need him to come on.
He starts tomorrow, according to the resolution.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So you don't have to worry. He'll be on it. He'll be on it.
Trial by fire there, Commander. Dave, I want to say to you that you have been working for our city since I was 5 years old.
Well, that makes you feel good.
I don't know how either of us feel about that, but I appreciate it. I think we all do.
Yes.
And I hate this is the way it's ending for you, but your service is appreciated.
Amen.
Alderman Collins, thank you. Alderman Peterson.
Mr. Lamar, it's not ending, it's just beginning. And I know we're looking for a name for Beatty Park. I think we've come up with a name. And I certainly hope we can dedicate the park in your honor. 41 years is phenomenal. We can't begin to thank you enough for your dedication, your hard work, and you've put Hendersonville Parks on the map. Thank you, sir.
Alderman Peterson, thank you. Alderman Cunningham.
Thank you, Mayor. Dave, thank you for all you've done for the city. And
thank your family. I mean, they had to put up with all this too. And I'm just so sad. I'm just so sad that this is how it had to end. And I'm just kind of heartbroken, really. You put so much into it and it showed. And you came at a time when leadership like yours was really, really needed and making some hard calls. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I know a lot of citizens of this city thank you as well for your service. And I know you do well. I know you do very well. Thank you.
Alderman Cunningham, thank you. Alderman Hayes.
Thank you, Mayor. Dave, big dog, thank you. You are truly a servant leader. And I said it at the very beginning, the morale for all of our workers, all of our city hall workers, as well as police, fire, everyone, it really took a jump up because of your leadership, and especially during the middle of a pandemic. Thank you so much. And thank you for your precious wife, Tricia. We love her. We love you. Thank you. I appreciate what you said, Lee Peterson. That's a great idea. Lamar Park.
Alderman Hayes, thank you. Alderman Campbell. Alderman Campbell, we can't hear you.
Sorry about that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dave, who would have thought back in December of 2019, you'd have stepped right into a global pandemic to have to deal with, and then working with our staff on the budget that you were able to craft and come up with, and then go back 3 other times to adjust that budget to give us a budget that survived that global pandemic. I mean, that's what we're talking about here. And then moving forward, our budget for 2020, continuing forward with that budget. And we come out on the other side with about $5 million in the bank, general fund. And that's your hard work, and Robert and some other, and all the department heads working with you. And I certainly do appreciate that, as those of us that are on the inside and hear the stories and see what's going on, we know the truth of what's happening inside that building. And I want to say thank you for your hard work and dedication and the love and the service you have given the city of Hendersonville. And you're going to be greatly missed around City Hall, but we'll see you around town, I'm sure. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Alderman
Pat.
Campbell, thank you. Alderman Robertson.
Well, thank you too, Dave. And I just know that with this separation, I'll be seeing more of you. I'll be seeing more of you at Bluegrass. I know that I'll be seeing you on the greens there, and best of luck to you. Thank you for your service, and job well done. I voted for you on the interim position, and I have not regretted that. We've not always agreed, but we've always been professional in our approach. And I thank you for your service, and look forward to seeing you up at Bluegrass. Thank you.
Alderman Robertson, thank you. Excuse me, Dave, anything else?
I'm good, Mayor. Thank you very much.
Appreciate your report. Thank you. Next, we have board liaisons. We don't have any information on this. Alderman Brown, can you help us out as general committee chairman?
You're on mute.
Chairman Brown, we can't hear you.
You're muted.
Yeah, I'm ready to get muted. I mean, for the evening. All this was in everyone's packet, but I can go down the list if you'd like me to.
Yeah, could you please?
This was discussed and approved by the general committee. I think most everybody on here got their first choice, with the exception of Miss Dixon and Miss Collins. And that's kind of because they're new kids on the block, so they drew the short straw. But the Board of Adjustment and Appeals is Miss Dixon. Ms. Collins is the liaison to the Arts Council. Mr. Edwards requested to be on the beer board again, so he is back on the beer board. Ms. Petrelli requested the disability board. She is there. Mr. Robertson, who's been on the golf course mission, is still there. Mr. Hayes is now the IDB representative from the city. Mr. Campbell stayed right where he was on the Municipal Board of Zoning Appeals. I am now the Parks Board liaison. Personnel Board would be Ms. Cunningham. Mr. Waters is be on the Historical Zoning Commission. Mr. Peterson is on the Planning Commission, so we decided that we shouldn't probably give him any more, but that would be enough for him. And Mr. Skidmore, our Public Works man, is on Solid Waste and Recycling Committee. So that is the slate. It was approved by General Committee. So there you go.
Alderman Brown, is that your motion?
That is my motion.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second from Alderman Edwards. Any discussion on that? All those in favor of approving that slate of board liaison appointments, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please say no when Annette calls your name.
Brown,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Collins,
Aye.
Cunningham. Cunningham,
Oh, aye.
Dixon,
I'm sorry.
Aye.
Edwards,
Aye.
Hayes,
Aye.
Peterson,
Aye.
Petrelli,
Aye.
Robertson,
4,
Skidmore,
Aye.
Waters.
Jim.
Waters.
I say hi.
Okay. Clary,
Aye.
13 ayes.
It passes unanimously. Thank you, Annette. Alderman Brown, the consideration for appointment of Turner Gall, that's for the next meeting. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay.
The
We're not voting on that tonight. That's just to notify us. Is that correct?
That is my understanding, Steve.
Alderman Brown, is that your understanding? We can't hear you.
You can't hear you.
That's correct.
Thank you, John. My mayoral report has been covered in other areas. The only thing that I'll add is we need Alderman Edwards back here in the city hall to remind me to turn on microphones because I've done a very poor job of that. For those who don't know, he would snap his fingers and that would remind me to turn on microphones for everybody so they could vote.
I'll be there in 2 weeks. I'll help you in 2 weeks, maybe.
Alderman Waters, would you like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to adjourn and thank you, everybody.
We have a motion
Second.
from Alderman Waters and a second from Alderman Peterson to adjourn. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please say no when Annette calls your name.
Brown. You're muted, Brown.
Graham.
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Collins,
Aye.
Cunningham,
Aye.
Dixon,
Aye.
Edwards,
Aye.
Hayes,
Aye.
Peterson,
Aye.
Petrelli,
Aye.
Robertson,
aye.
Skidmore,
Aye.
Waters,
Aye.
Clary.
Aye.
13 ayes.
That's unanimous. Thank you, Annette. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Tina. Thank you for all your help. We're adjourned. Have a good night.
Thank you, everybody.